Ahoy! And welcome to episode 3 of the Dailey-Lumber... What's that? I'm getting news from the satellite branch that a new challenger approaches. Who is it? Oh my gosh. It's
What's my pose, my shadow, my silhouette.
So this week we're joined by Andy Landy. How's it going, Andrew?
Guys? Yeah, you guys probably have seen me in some of Zach's streams. The best Smash player that he knows, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Last time I checked, anyway.
I still know myself, so we have to keep that in mind.
Okay, big talk.
Good to have you here. It's the screen is filling out nicely.
Yes.
We'll just get Knive in the other corner and just have everybody.
Knive can only talk about Call of Duty and things like that.
Right.
He has no idea. Cool. Well, let's start it off with got a couple quick news segments here. Just some quick things I want to mention, but not super big topics. Monster Hunter Rise. Capcom announced they reached 6 million units sold, which is pretty crazy, and it became Capcom's second best selling single console game, and the only one it follows is Street Fighter 2 for the SNES.
I was going to ask what else falls into that category.
Yeah, so it's like I think Monster Hunter Rise is at 6 million, and then Street Fighter 2 for the SNES is like 6.3, so it'll pass it. And then the best-selling Capcom game is Monster Hunter World, which is like 15 million or something like that.
Right. Maybe one of these days.
So but when they do the PC rollout, are they going to change that stat into like a multi? Yeah,
they'll change the stat, but it'll probably still be the best-selling single console release by the time that happens.
Right.
So yeah. Cool. So yeah, we'll talk about Monster Hunter a little more later in the podcast. So keep
well deserved.
Yes. So also, Jedi Fallen Order will be getting a free next-gen update this summer to the PS5 and the Xbox Series systems. It was a good game. I played it late on my base PS4, and it screamed at me the entire time. So it'll be good to revisit on the big PS5.
Coming out.
Either of y'all play that game?
Yeah. I did play that. I only played it once, and when I did, I went for the platinum. I did get the platinum. Which was
nice. Very good. Yeah, good job.
Which I don't go for many platinums. That one was okay. I think the most frustrating part about it was like all of the map completion aspects, because like there were some, Zach, I know you played it. Oh, I'm sorry, Daily Beating. I know you played it.
No worries.
But the map was like structured kind of weird. It was like this 3D thing that was hard to visualize. So getting some of the trophies done related to that were kind of grindy or tedious.
Yeah, the map. I think Borderlands does that too, the 3D map thing, and some games do it better than others. The Jedi Fallen Order one was confusing. It was not as well done as something like Borderlands.
Yeah, but I really liked it, and I think the platinum was still pretty good. It was a good time to get, and the combat was really fun. I've mentioned to you guys before, I'm a sucker for good sword combat, and there was stuff in that game that were reminiscent of Sekiro.
Well, I think that game has lightsaber combat. Which is similar.
Wow, semantics here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
keep them honest, Dad. Keep them honest.
I appreciate that. But I really like the combat in that game, and obviously,
Yeah, I'll probably check it out for sure. I don't know if I'll play it through again, but I'll run around and slice up some stormtroopers for sure.
Yep, it's a good time. Andy, you played that game?
I didn't play, but I think it's a really good-looking game, and I think it's going to do really well.
It'll look really good on the next-gen consoles for sure.
Yep.
For sure. Among Us is coming to PlayStation with Ratchet and Clank cosmetics. I'm not a big Among Us fella.
I don't think I could possibly care less.
But I mean, it's one of those games like I would.
The app.
You have the app.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have mind playing it if like I had a handful of friends to play with, but I'm not about to play that game with randoms. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah. Not a fun time.
Yeah. So.
Not a fun time.
Yeah.
It would be feasible to do maybe a stream later on where we bring in like Noah, Peyton, Kelly, like just have a bunch of people, but with people that you don't know. I'm sure it'll be
$5 like it is on the Switch, so it's a pretty cheap pickup. So I mean, but one day.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's my quick news section. So let's jump into what games we're playing this week. Brendan, what games are you playing this week?
Well, this week I can finally say something has changed week over week from what I'm playing. I'm still playing Monster Hunter and getting through with you guys the high rank hub quests, which is fun. I'm getting better equipped with my weapon and gear, and getting used to the new weapon. I talked about I'm using the insect glaive, so I talked about that last week. Still using that and the hammer. It's my big boy hammer.
I mean, it's no longsword, but it'll do.
It isn't. It is no longsword, but it's fun because you can fly around in the air a lot. But so still playing Monster Hunter. Also was able to finally put some more hours into Final Fantasy 12, which that game's really fun. I've talked about the combat system a little bit. It's not traditional turn-based. It's like live, auto attacking and also sending commands to your different party members. I don't think you can like actively switch between party members during combat. You can switch who the leader is, and that's who you control. But like Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can switch actively between who you're controlling.
Yeah.
So it's not like that. But yeah, I'm having fun with that. I put like 6 or 7 hours into it. I'm sure it's going to be quite the long experience, just like any other big RPG is.
Yeah.
But also this week, I started a game called Demon's Tilt on the Switch, and yeah. So it's a pinball game, and it's pretty cool. It's like retro looking. The music's really good. It's funny because from what I can tell, there's one pinball. What do you call that? It's like
table, I guess.
Table. Yeah. But there's like several sections to it, and there's like bosses and mini bosses that you hit with the ball while you're going around. And it's really cool. Obviously, you can tell by the name. It's the theme is a little bit dark. But it's a really good time. Like I said, good music, and it's really easy to just kind of jump into another run. And I've always been a fan of pinball. But,
how does that work? Is like if you die and start over kind of thing? Is like
well, you get 3 balls, and once you run out, you have to restart, and you try to get the highest score possible, and try to finish off the bosses throughout the table, which I've only really been able to do. Like there's like one mini boss at the bottom that kind of cycles through several different enemy types as you get rid of them. But yeah, it's fun. I do like pinball, but I haven't been able to find like good pinball games. On the various systems. Like I've tried things on my phone and the Switch and stuff like that. This one's really fun. I think I'll play it for a while. It was on sale for like $12 as opposed to like $20 MSRP. So I decided to buy it. I saw it was recommended on a different, gaming podcast that I will not mention here because they are the competitors.
Would you want to compete?
Yeah. But yeah, based on that recommendation, I went and downloaded it on my Switch, and it's a good game to just pick up and play, much like the Pac-Man 99s and the Tetris 99s out there. Like just pick up and play a couple rounds.
Something quick.
And then move on. So or like good for like a road trip or something that you have portably.
I always play my Switch while I drive. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just have it kind of sitting up like a GPS.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was the reason why I bought it, and it's a good time. So
cool.
That's basically those are the 3 games I played this week. So.
What about you, Mr. Landy?
Okay, well, so yeah, I've also been playing Monster Hunter Rise, mostly just with Brendan, but a little bit on my own as well. I'm at the part of the game where you really just need money. Is what I was telling Brendan yesterday. That he's like, "What monster are you want to fight?" I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. Does it pay money at the end? Because that's what I need. I have a couple builds in mind that I'm working on for the different weapons that I used, just for different situations. So working on that. I put a lot of time, most recently, into Hades as well. It was on sale for $20 instead of, I guess, $24.
I feel like that game's been on sale more than it hasn't. And
I bought it
the sale was $20 from $25, and it's been $20 most of the time. I feel like
I got it pretty close to release, and it was $20 for me too.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
It's funny because we talked about this I think a while back when it came out, and whenever I got around to looking at it, it was back up to 25, and kind of before I finished typing everything in my head, I was like, if it's $20, I'll get it, and then it was 25, and it was like I had set that like threshold.
Yeah.
And so until that I saw it was going on sale again, I didn't buy it. But I put a lot of time into that. I'm getting close to kind of the end, I guess, in a way. There's still some challenges that I want to take down before that. But as far as the story things go, for content on that. And then this morning I set, from my library from PlayStation Plus, I set the Final Fantasy VII remake to download. So
excellent.
There you
Excellent.
go.
Starting that
There you go.
today.
And you got that game free from PlayStation Plus, correct?
Yep, I did.
Yep. That was a pretty good deal. They've given out what, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ratchet and Clank and Horizon are on the stay at home, but still they're giving them away for free, which is pretty wild.
Yep.
Right.
So yeah, who knows what they'll give away next?
BioShock, all of the BioShock was on there, so
Oh,
that stuff you
nice.
just gotta keep an eye out for.
Yep.
Yep.
The other thing that I would mention just briefly is I've also been playing Apex. Got into it a little bit more these past couple of weeks because of the new update that's coming up. So kind of just have to keep your FPS skills fresh.
Oh, of course, you gotta keep them ready.
Yep.
So.
Never know when you might need them.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Cool. I've been playing a lot of the same stuff. I've been digging more into Sackboy: A Big Adventure on the PlayStation 5. Been playing that co-op, but I played a little bit last couple days by myself, trying to get some single-player stuff done. I think I'm going to go for the platinum in that game. It's fun. It's a pretty simple 3D platformer collectathon thing, level-based, but there's like surprising difficulty in there sometimes. Like the first boss, like me being the expert 3D platformer, it's no big deal. But for a game that's like somewhat, marketed to children, it looks like, it's like a little difficult.
There are a lot of games
there's
like
a lot
that,
of there's a lot of systems going on. Like the boss is moving in multiple directions, sending out attacks, and it's like I don't think a child could, easily handle it.
Settings?
No, it's just like play the game. Like,
No.
but it's very nice to you with the amount of lives and checkpoints and stuff. So I think
Good
that's the.
So I imagine it's probably not a difficult platinum.
No, it's actually fairly simple. Beat the game. It's actually nice. It's not like collect all of the collectibles. It's collect most of the collectibles.
Nice.
So yeah, it's pretty nice. Still playing Loop Hero. Keep getting stuck on that game. I'm still enjoying it, but I cannot get past the current boss I'm on, and it's very sad.
Frustrating you day by day.
Frustrating me day by day. I'm also playing Monster Hunter, as they said. We'll talk about that more later. And I did start a new PlayStation 5 exclusive, which you may or may not have seen on screen earlier, which is Returnal. Returnal is pretty fun.
You also have behind your shoulder right there.
Oh yes, it's here you can see on the screen. I have Returnal. I stopped playing just for this.
Right.
Yeah. We had to pull them away, guys.
Yeah,
Right.
It's a lot of fun. It's definitely pretty dark. It's going for like that sci-fi horror thing, like Alien, and it's got some weird like Prometheus vibes, like alien civilization, ancient. It's fun. It's very dark, and it's like the first level is like all rainy and stuff. And the 3D audio on the headset is pretty neat. You can hear like monsters like clicking around you depending on where they're at. And you like turn around.
Terrifying.
But it's
clicking.
If you think of like Stranger Things, like the clicky noise, or like a Last of Us, like
The Last of Us. That's what I was thinking.
So think of that, but it's like little like xenomorphs basically.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So the game is really dark and spooky looking, but the gunplay, like your little bullets, lasers, whatever you want to call them, they're very bright and shiny. So it's a nice contrast.
Reminiscent of their other games, or the Housemarque. That is
it Resogun is one of them?
Resogun.
Yeah. It's fun so far. The sound is good. It looks like a PS5 game. It's not as good looking as Demon's Souls, but it's still better than a PS4 game.
So do you have enough experience with it to say whether or not like it's a must buy for PS5 owners? Is from like an exclusive standpoint?
I do not have enough experience with that. I was looking for something to play on my PlayStation because I hit kind of other than Sackboy, which I'm playing mainly co-op, I kind of hit a wall of games to play because there's not a whole lot of exclusives. So I was trying to play something because I couldn't wait for Resident Evil. I was like, well, that's another couple weeks away, or is it a week away, 2 weeks away?
Next Friday.
Yeah. So I bought Returnal. It looked interesting enough. It is a $70 game, and I've heard that you can I've heard people beating the game around 15, 20 hours. So I mean, maybe that's it could be worth it.
Sure.
It's definitely quality so far. I was surprised, a lot of third-person action games, it's like Sony, for example, like it's not as fun to move. Like moving around when you're not in combat isn't the most fun thing. It's like the combat that's fun, but it's actually fun to like move and jump in Returnal. It feels almost like a 3D platformer that also has bullet hell, third-person shooting. So it's.
I saw you avoiding some lasers earlier. I was like, hey, that looks like there's a little bit of fun there.
Yeah, you can like dash and stuff. Like basically dash in the air. And right now I only have a single jump. I don't know if you get a double jump. Who knows? But it's actually it's pretty hard. I did beat the first boss, but it is definitely like a white knuckle try real hard. It felt reminiscent of beating a boss in Dark Souls. Like I saw its health bar going down. I was almost dead, and I was like, don't mess up, and I got it, and I was like, breathed a sigh of relief. So yeah, I'm gonna keep playing that for sure. I don't know how many areas there are. I've made it to the second area. I don't know what that means, but it's like it's a roguelite. So when you die, you start over. But I recently found out after the most recent run. I don't think you get to fight all the bosses every time. I think I've permanently unlocked the route to the next area, which is
That's promising for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting mix-up from other roguelites.
So because from what I've heard, and you may have already said this, but the runs themselves can last much longer than what you would expect compared to other roguelite games. So,
yes, my first few runs of just the first areas were like 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, which I don't know how that compares to something like Hades. I feel like those runs were pretty long too to get to the end.
20 to 30 minutes, yeah. Probably 30 minutes.
Really?
I think my first run was
not good.
I can pull up my records and show you my fastest speed.
My first runs were 30 to 45 range, but once you get into that game and you're a little more, you can beat the game in 15, 20 minutes.
Right. So when I heard that the Returnal runs were going to take 2 to 3 hours sometimes.
Yep.
I guess if you know what you're doing, I feel like that would only make it that much worse. The defeat, the feeling of defeat. And it's like, okay, no, I need to take a break. I'm not going to jump right back in and do another 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
So even if that is what's going to happen, and when I die, I'll take a break. At least I know when I come back, it's like, okay, I don't have to fight that boss again. I can just go grind through the area and then go on to the next. So like that sounds good to me. That's like really like concrete progression.
Yeah. It's like semi-permanent progression.
So that's good.
One weird thing though, you can't save in the middle of a run. And it's very in your face about it when you start the game. It's like you cannot save in a run. If you turn off your game or whatever, you will start at the beginning. It's like if you would like to save your progress, put it in rest mode. And it's like I
don't trust that.
All right, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep with it. I'm gonna keep playing it. Either of y'all have any? I know Landy can't get it quite yet, but Brendan, do you have any desire to get the game at any point?
So, I'll see how, I feel in the next couple weeks. You mentioned Resident Evil. That's coming out next week. And that's similar to you. I haven't had a whole lot to play on PlayStation, but I've also had stuff to play on other consoles. So I've been hesitant to start anything or buy anything new on PlayStation before Resident Evil 8. But I do... That's why I was kind of asking you the question, like, as a PS5 owner, is this game, like, worth...
A must-have?
Is it a must-have
from
an exclusive standpoint? So that's, I didn't know. I'd heard stuff about how it showcases, like, the adaptive triggers and.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. So like I've heard the things about that would make the PS5 experience like unique, and I'll see how I feel in a couple weeks. I think I will get it just to have it. But yeah, $70 is steep.
Yeah.
So.
And I forgot to mention, you just brought it up, the adaptive triggers are pretty nice. I've heard people say this, but I'll say it. Other than Astrobot, it's the best use of the DualSense controller. You can feel different vibrations for different guns. The trigger pullbacks do different things. You can feel it get tighter for certain things, like a half pull and a full pull. You can feel the rain. If it's raining hard, your controller will
I remember
lightly.
That from Astrobot.
Yeah, it can lightly rain on you. There's going to be a lot of games that have rain in them. I already know it.
It's just easy. Just the
they're going to drag and drop that rain vibrate, and just like every game's going to have rain in it.
It's just going to be a common thing amongst all the developers. The little file for rain vibration effects. Everyone has it.
Yeah.
Hopefully paired with a checkbox to take it off if you get tired of feeling it in every single game that you play.
Yeah. No, I bet what it would be though is like for as far as like toggling those options off, it wouldn't probably be that specific. It would be like
right.
either you have all of it or you have none of it. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's my thoughts on Returnal. That's let's think about another first-party Sony game coming out soon. There was a state of play. What was it, Thursday? That
yes.
Focused on the new Ratchet and Clank coming out for the PS5 in early June.
Rift Apart.
Yeah. What do y'all think of that?
Awesome. I'll let Andy go first. Yeah.
Sure.
Did you look up that footage?
Do you have experience with Ratchet and Clank, Andrew?
I had one of the games for the PS3, and my brother, I don't even know which one. Sorry, I know that's going to make you angry at me, Zach, because
Cracking Time in the PS3 is one of my favorite games.
Same.
There you go. That's probably the one that we had.
Yeah.
And I did play a fair amount of it. My brother played quite a bit more of it, but it was a lot of fun. I think it's really kind of just a good, I don't know, good humor, just a fun game, a fun show game. But I watched the trailer, and I was watching it like early in the morning on my phone, like eyes still barely open, and then I kind of like through the middle of it decided like I think I need to up my viewing experience a little bit.
You need to watch that on a 4K TV or something.
Yeah.
So I put it on a nicer monitor, and yeah, it definitely showed a lot. I had a couple notes on it that were just like, and I mean, you guys have kind of been experiencing this a little bit with having the PS5, but, you know, just picturing that trailer as, you know, an unbroken capture, essentially,
right.
of playing it,
yeah.
and that cutscenes are just seamless, and all of the assets used for the characters and the NPCs in the background, you know, spaceships flying around are the same assets in cutscenes and in gameplay was, like, staggering. And honestly, in my opinion, like I think that's probably we're going to see a lot more of that come out, and more games use that, and it'd be really interesting to see. The other thing he was talking about is the solid state being able to handle a lot more of the loading for just huge areas and fights going from one planet to another without.
Yeah, it loads the entire planet. It's not just like a small section. It just loads all of it.
I was like,
even if you're only going to be restricted to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way I'm going to fight this boss across the whole planet, but it loads the whole thing. So
and you'll probably come back later, you know, and be able to experience the whole level.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was awesome. Also, the other thing I wrote down to mention was that the setting that we first see Ratchet in really reminds me of the start of Samurai Jack. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that show, but the bad guy
a long time ago.
Transports him into a future where the bad guy has won and taken over the world and made a giant city. And it looked exactly like that. Obviously, the plot's a little different.
I bet there's some inspiration there. Then that's.
I'm sure it's a Samurai Jack like.
Yeah, it's in the Samurai Jack universe.
Yeah, extended universe.
Extended universe. The SJEU.
Any thoughts, Brendan?
So I'm going to make a bold statement about this. Unless something crazy comes out, you know, this year, which I mean, there are things that we've talked about and predicted that may come out at the end of the year. This may be my game of the year contender. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think that this game is going to be that thing for me because I, similar to you, have had a long history with the Ratchet and Clank series. I started playing on the PS2 with Going Commando, and I played just about every one since. You know, it's one of my top 3 probably favorite game series, if not my favorite game series. So I've been looking forward to this a lot, and you know, obviously this game probably more than any other game so far, except for maybe Demon's Souls with the really quick loading, is going to showcase what the PS5 can do in like every sense.
Yeah.
You know, so just a couple notes I had. So it looks like we didn't see a lot of new weapons, but I mean, there was some kind of little hand grenade thing that they were using, which looked cool.
They showed like variants of like existing weapons that were new, but they're
right. I'm sure there's a lot more, and there's probably some.
There's typically maybe 10, 15 weapons in the game, maybe 2 dozen.
Sounds about right.
So there'll be some good variety there.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure, you know, for people who have played the Ratchet and Clank games, you always want to see what the iterations is going to be, which is this crazy rocket launcher machine gun.
Yep.
You want to see what that is going to be, or if it's going to be something totally new. There's always just some.
Which of Beethoven's finest will they play in the background?
I know. I love that. Yeah. It's so good. There's always some game-breaking, weapon you get, which really encourages that next playthrough, just like blitzing through it. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. But it seems like this game is taking a lot of features from other games too. Like there's the arena stuff, the arena challenges. There's like aerial combat stuff.
The world from Samurai Jack.
The world from Samurai Jack, of course, from the past games. There's some open world sections I saw, and new traversal options and like platforming options for Ratchet. Because based on the trailer, they get separated, and so Ratchet's got to find some way to figure things out on his own. So that looks really cool. There's a new playable character. I think her name's Rivet. She's got a hammer, so I bet she's going to be cool. And it looks like there may be some kind of like shared inventory thing going on with like. Yeah,
definitely the Mrs. Zircon. They reference each other.
Right. So, it's like, oh, how did this stuff get in my inventory? Yeah. It's like, no, I gave it to our buddy. And she's
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, so so there's lots of really cool features here. What I'm hoping for is that it's a bit of a like lengthier experience than past games. I hope that there's lots of different planets, lots to do. These are typically kind of shorter games. But again, there is replay value, and there's usually like a challenge mode in the next playthrough, and
for sure.
New weapon unlocks and suits and stuff like that, armor. But yeah, so this game looks incredible. I cannot wait to play it. It comes out. I think we've mentioned it comes out the same weekend as the Final Fantasy VII Remake PS5 upgrade, and Ratchet and Clank is going to take precedence for me. It's going to be the priority, and then I'll go to Final Fantasy.
It's a tough decision. Tough decision.
Yeah, but I can't wait for it. Probably the game of the year for me if it holds up to the expectations.
So all that's on my mind with this game, I just can't get over. I'm tossing and turning in my sleep. Clank's gone. He's with Rivet, and Ratchet's all alone. Will Ratchet find Clink, the alternate reality version
Clink and Clank,
of Clank?
Ratchet and Rivet.
Will he find Clink? Well, does she exist?
Maybe. I saw in the trailer there's some little, like maybe this was just a random robot thing, but she had this little like red-orange robot that she like put in her backpack, and she was going to go chase after something. I saw that in the trailer, so I wonder if there's something there. Like that's
definitely
her
Clink.
version.
Definitely
You
Clink.
think it's Clink? You think it's Clink? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm putting money down on it. Everyone can come back to this in June if Clink exists.
The Dailey-Lumber Meyer Podcast, episode 3.
Episode 3.
Confirm it here.
Yes.
You can reference it.
Put it
Timestamp
in the comments.
Yep.
27 minutes.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah,
cool.
game looks awesome.
It does look awesome. Cool. So now that we've talked about the Ratchet and Clank gameplay, there was a little bit more in the state of play, but I know Brendan had some thoughts on the state of play.
Not a whole lot. I mean, it was a whopping 3 things.
Yeah.
We had the Ratchet and Clank stuff, which was last, I think, which was like 15, 16 minutes, something like that.
Yep.
Before that,
40 seconds.
Thank you for the exact time. But ahead of the state of play, they had announced that they were going to talk about, I don't know if they specified it as 2 indie games or just 2 other games, and then Ratchet and Clank gameplay for the most of it. And, I was like, okay, they probably won't talk much about anything else, but, maybe we'll get an update on some other cool PS5 exclusives. But what that ended up being was Subnautica, the sequel, I guess, which I don't have a problem with that game or anything. I never played the first one.
Cool.
The sea, cool. Yes, I never played the first game. It looks cool. That was one of the games they recently had. The first one, that is, they had on the Play at Home initiative. Subnautica was one of them. I have it downloaded, and maybe I'll play it. And if I like it, I can get the sequel. But then they talked about Among Us, which I already mentioned I don't really care about, which is kind of. And then they went to Ratchet and Clank. So one game in particular that I was hoping to hear something about, which I can't remember. I have to look up when it's coming out. I should have done that ahead of this. But the game Kena Bridge of Spirits. Have you seen?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's another similar to Ratchet and Clank, really well done animation, like a Pixar movie basically. It's a really cool looking game. It's like an action adventure game set in this different world. I don't know. I can't explain it super clearly, but the combat looks fun. Really good animation, graphics, all that stuff. And I just wanted to see a little bit more of that. But what I did look up before this, that game's only going to cost $40.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that is that an indie game published by Sony, or is that just like a Sony? I don't remember offhand.
Another thing I should have looked up.
Yeah.
I didn't do my research clear.
Yeah, that game does look cool, though. I agree with your sentiment on the like a good-looking animated experience.
Yeah, so I was hoping to hear something about just another like a PS5 upcoming PS5 game or PlayStation game. I think the game's coming out on PS4 as well. And we didn't really hear much. It was just like Subnautica was fine. I feel like they could have wrapped the Among Us like Ratchet and Clank thing because there's like a Ratchet and Clank costume or whatever in Among Us now. That could have been as the same thing, like part of the Ratchet and Clank discussion, and then they could have talked about something else. So it was just a weirdly short and unsubstantial state of play, other than the Ratchet and Clank stuff.
It makes you wonder. Like they could have just said we're going to talk about only Ratchet and Clank, and then you set the expectations. But then again, it forces people to see some sort of other agreement they have with the Subnautica people or the Among Us stuff. Because people are going to come and watch the Ratchet and Clank thing, and they're going to make you watch the.
Right.
So, I mean,
I still think they could have included, just to kind of beef up that state of play, and because I think that is what Sony has suffered from since they started the state of plays is comparing it to Nintendo. I mean, which Nintendo hasn't been great either on their directs, but they just I don't know, a lot of things they talk about aren't super interesting, or I don't know. I think they could do better on the state of plays. But so I wish I had heard something about some other upcoming PlayStation stuff that was a little bit more interesting, but maybe next time.
I'm sure we'll see more in the next month or so around E3 time.
Yeah.
I'm sure Sony will do something.
Yep, that's true.
Interesting that you bring up, before we move on real quick, I think it's interesting that you bring up comparing it to the Nintendo Directs, because, I mean, comparing it to the last Direct, there was a lot of content, but it was just a lot of it, like you said, was not very interesting. And so it's kind of a question, right, of like, would you rather see 2 or 3 things that are, big ticket items and nothing else, or, 9 things and then 3 really good ones and sprinkle the stuff that you may or may not be interested in,
Well, and I understand that obviously I'm not the only one watching these out there who are interested for a reason. So the fact that they talked about it, I'm sure, made some people excited.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean,
every game is somebody's favorite.
Yep, that's true. So, well, I'm not sure if that is true, but it's an optimistic way to think. Maybe that is true, because maybe that particular game is the only thing they've ever played or been exposed to. So yeah, this is the best thing ever. But but yeah,
cool. So to keep on the Sony train here, Sony recently made a statement. I believe it was maybe during their earnings call or around that time, that they're going to aggressively invest in first-party studios and third-party exclusives, which is exciting for me because I've had a PS5 for I guess 6 months now, and I have 3 exclusives, and one of them is a PS4 game also.
Right.
So yeah, it's exciting to hear them talk about aggressively all those big Sony games you look forward to, the God of Wars, the Horizons, etc. Y'all have any thoughts on this? Maybe what they're talking about, what they're referencing with the statement?
You want to go ahead, Andy?
Sure. So I read into the article a little bit that was put out, and I think there's kind of 2 parts to this, or maybe more parts besides that, but there's 2 parts to really think about as far as what we can be optimistic about. On the one hand, they are saying they're going to invest in their already existing first-party development team, which is good news for the stuff you said, God of War, stuff that's already first-party and things like that. But then the other piece of that is pursuing stuff that is not currently, in their realm of influence, that they would need to, acquire or have a third-party developer publish as an exclusive or whatever the case is.
Yep.
And so that's kind of the 2 pieces of this that we can hopefully see some good things coming out of. What it also kind of says to me, or maybe this might be like a hot take, like tinfoil hat kind of thing, but with the way that Game Pass has been doing games recently and kind of this push, it's almost as if like Sony and other companies are going to be thinking about basically having their video games as like a subscription, like Netflix. You might only get Netflix because you want these 5 shows, and then once you watch those 5 shows, then you might not have Netflix anymore.
Yeah,
so it's almost kind of like, and it's sort of been that way for a while, but it just, to me, feels more like a push towards, we want people to subscribe to our things and purchase our stuff because we have, these items that set us apart from, the other consoles and what have you, and keep people, keep things away from other devices so that they kind of have to go through Sony for those.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. The Game Pass comparison. A big thing to keep people subscribed to your Netflixes and your Game Passes is to consistently put more new stuff in front of people. And I know Sony has PS Now, which they have not marketed well or shown really at all. Yeah. If they want people to get into that, they could start doing more of a Game Pass thing. Make their first parties. I don't know if they'll make their first parties available on PS Now, like for free, like Game Pass. But basically, if they keep chugging out new games every 2 months, big first party, and keep people, keep Sony first party in people's thoughts constantly, keep the cycle going, they could really compete with Game Pass. And Sony has the first parties to do it. They got plenty of games. They just gotta. I'm sure we'll see more and more in the next year as the PS5 matures a little bit. But yeah, any thoughts, Brendan, on what you think could come out of this? What they're wanting to do?
Well, similar. Yeah, so similar to what you guys said. Obviously, this bodes well for the stuff that exists already from a first-party standpoint. Which is, it's just funny to hear news like that because Sony has led the charge for the first-party exclusives and been the clear winner there for a couple generations, especially in the PS4 generation. And I can only expect that to continue. Just with the current IP alone, like the Ratchet and Clanks, the God of Wars, the Horizons, Ghost of Tsushima was really successful, right?
Yep.
That's, I think they have a sequel coming up for that.
Ghost of Japan,
confirmed, right? Exactly, yeah. So that that this only bodes well from that standpoint. And but to kind of take a different twist on it, and you bring up Game Pass and just kind of Xbox or Microsoft in general, and that comparison and that competition there. I wanted to talk about okay, so they've got this first party push, and then they also mentioned how they're going to, continue to build and strengthen relationships with third party, companies and all that. So my thought is like, okay, what could they possibly acquire to, really compete with Xbox, from that standpoint? Because Xbox recently acquired Bethesda, or did they acquire ZeniMax, or was it only Bethesda?
They got ZeniMax, which is, okay. I mean, as far as my understanding and the zeitgeist, the conversation, it's like 90% Bethesda, then like some other stuff thrown in there.
Right. And then under Bethesda, I mean, there's all kinds of. I was like, okay, I did some research. I was like, what could Sony possibly acquire? And obviously, other people have this too. That could really compete with them on that standpoint, because people were like, oh, this could tip the scales on the first party exclusive, competition, because Xbox has all this. This stuff now, and they're throwing it straight on Game Pass, with all the Bethesda stuff. So I looked into it, and an interesting option for Sony as far as what they could acquire is Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, which is another like umbrella company. So from my research, this is currently owned by AT&T, and I guess rumors say or point to that AT&T wants to offload that segment of the business.
Yep.
Not for a cheap price, but still an option there. But so Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, under them they have Monolith Productions, which they did the Mordor games, the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War.
Yep.
Those Lord of the Rings kind of spin-off games. I only played the first one of that series, but it was really fun. They have TT Games, which is all of those Lego games, Lego Star Wars, Lego everything.
It's a capital T and a lowercase one.
Yes, yes.
I remember that logo.
Yeah. So they also Warner Brothers also has Rocksteady, which is the Arkham games, and then probably other things. NetherRealm, which is Injustice, those fighting games, and
Mortal Kombat.
And then they also have Avalanche Software, which I looked into kind of their back catalog of development titles, and they have a bunch of light stuff, like there's some Disney stuff in there. But they also have this upcoming Harry Potter game, the Hogwarts Legacy. So basically, Warner Brothers would be an interesting acquisition. You'd think that a company like Sony could afford it if they really were trying to compete on that level with Microsoft. Like, okay, you guys just bought stuff, guess what we can buy? So I thought that was an interesting studio, and I had one more, but I don't want to take over.
I was gonna tail on this. There were rumors that that Xbox was looking at them months ago, but they apparently Warner Media wanted like some $4 billion.
Yeah, that's the note I have down.
And I think it'd be more interesting for Xbox to acquire them and have Batman be like Spider-Man's, the Arkham games and like the Spider-Man games.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's the NetherRealm thing, that'd be Mortal Kombat being an exclusive would be a big pickup for someone.
Yep.
And I think the reason I don't know if this will. This might just be speculative, or it might have been a rumor. Who knows? I thought I read they didn't want to, split up the sale. They wanted to sell all of it, not like you get NetherRealms and you get the Arkham games, and we keep. They want to give all of it. I don't think.
Right.
As there's some big hitters in there, like the Batman games and the NetherRealm Studios, but not everything in there is worth the price per se. Maybe they don't want to buy all that.
Yeah,
that'd be definitely be interesting of a sale there. Lots of like you said, the Harry Potter stuff that's going to come out eventually. Right. I think that got recently delayed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not coming out till next year.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was really just to emphasize like the catalog of games and developers they would now have access to, and it would potentially be all first party like exclusive stuff. Yeah. So just thought it's an interesting thing. And now, a real, I guess, want for me, if you don't mind, I've one I did want to say as well. I think it would be awesome, and this is kind of silly, and it probably won't happen, but if Sony acquired From Software. Imagine.
That's what I wrote a note about. Yeah.
So I figured there might be some overlap because obviously everyone wants a Bloodborne 2, right? And then I kind of looked up the whole Sony Japan studio thing that's going on. They're doing like a restructuring, and a bunch of people quit, and so I don't know that bodes well for a Bloodborne 2. But imagine bringing From Software in house, and then getting that, and then whatever else they could come up with. So that would be a really cool.
Bad news to kick off that. I'm pretty sure Xbox has marketing rights to Elden Ring.
So, I was thinking about that too.
Yeah. So at the very least, they'll have the Elden Ring would not be able to.
By marketing rights, you mean that
they
can't advertise it as a PlayStation game?
I'm sure. Well, I don't know all the ins and outs how that stuff works, but I think that Xbox gets the right to put it in their commercials and stuff, and like,
gotcha.
Best on Xbox, that kind of thing.
But honestly, well, I want it to come to PlayStation because that's a game I have the Series S, but that's all digital. So, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem buying it for Xbox, but I would want to own it physically. I'm a collector in that standpoint. There are some games that I would like to own physically. Yeah. So, as long as it comes out on PlayStation, I don't care.
And do you have anything else other than FromSoft in mind?
No. There was something I was going to say about it. Oh, yeah. Well, so, the Elden Ring thing is a good point. But just in general, looking at the kind of the list of FromSoft games, a lot of them have been only on PlayStation anyway, so it doesn't seem like a big leap for them to be acquired. They clearly, I don't know if it's a preference or if there's some politics there or what the inside story is on it, but clearly there's already a relationship there, having Bloodborne be PlayStation exclusive, and just,
Demon Souls,
and then I guess is Sekiro only on PlayStation?
No, it's on everything. There might be some older FromSoft games.
A couple different ones in the lineup being PlayStation exclusives, and not having any Xbox exclusives or anything else.
Yeah.
Up until now, kind of, I don't know, kind of shows a trend, in my opinion.
Right. From the exclusive standpoint, Sony has been the only one to capitalize on that.
Exactly. So that's kind of what came to mind. Kind of going back to the Warner Brothers thing, there was one other thing that I want to mention. It was interesting you brought up that they want to offload it as a whole catalog, because I'm thinking about the merits of PlayStation getting it and the merits of Xbox getting it. I feel like the Mortal Kombat exclusive, rights would do better on Xbox, but then, who knows, maybe the Lego rights would do better on Nintendo. It's just,
that's why I don't think anyone's gonna, anyone's gonna go through like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an interesting situation.
I just thought that was the best direct comparison to what Xbox acquired was Warner Brothers, with the catalog of developers that they had underneath that umbrella. I think that I couldn't find anything else that Sony could, possibly acquire that would match the caliber of Bethesda.
They could just go out and buy Disney. I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm sure Disney would have yeah. I did have one. I actually think will happen in the coming months, a year. And kind of back to the FromSoft things, the people who remade Demon's Souls, Blue Point.
Oh, I had that on my list as well.
Not owned by Sony, but they've done a lot of work for Sony, and they're really good about they remake games, or they remaster games. Most recently, Demon's Souls, which is PS5 exclusive. I believe was it The Last Guardian? What's the
Shadow of the Colossus?
Shadow of the Colossus, yeah. They did that one as well. And they have Blue Point could go make games for Xbox. They're not bound to Sony, and or Xbox could buy them with all their limitless money. So maybe Sony
Microsoft,
wants to,
with all that limitless money.
So maybe Sony wants to snag up Blue Point and have them. I think that'd be interesting to have a remakes and remasters are a big part of games now. I think that'd be interesting for someone to have a developer specifically for remaking old games. Like that's like what they do is they remake.
Right.
And the remakes are good. Like Demon's Souls was very faithful to the original game, but there was some new quality of life in there. It was a beautiful game. It ran well. I was really happy with the presentation of the game. So I think they could do some cool stuff if if Sony put them on their bill.
So I'll put you on the spot here. Because I didn't even think about this. What else could Blue Point do from like the Sony back catalog of games? What would be another good one for them to tackle? Do you have any thoughts on that? Like,
I have thoughts on what they could be doing right now that Sony does not own currently, but there's big rumors that the next thing that Blue Point's doing is a Metal Gear Solid remake for Konami. And there's, if say PlayStation owned Blue Point, they could reach a deal with Konami to have that Metal Gear Solid remake only on PlayStation. And Konami doesn't make a whole lot of games anymore. They're big into their pachinko machines and their gambling stuff. They make some stuff still, but I think they would. It's not out of the realm of possibilities for them to, sign a deal, have someone remake. The rumor is Metal Gear Solid, which would be cool.
I never played any of those games.
I don't think Sony's going to buy Konami or anything because Konami's making money doing their own thing. But maybe they could buy the rights to Metal Gear Solid games or something like that.
Well, and kind of to bring it back to a conversation we had earlier, if they did get Blue Point or something like that to remaster games for them on on the payroll, essentially, that could go into the subscription service, and then maybe you get the new installment of the first party on on January, and then by March you have a remaster of something down the line because a different group has worked that one up, and so that kind of. And if it's on the subscription service, it's out, ready to go whenever you want to play it. So I don't know, that's something I just thought of, but that definitely would make sense too.
So to get off the idea of, do you have any more acquisitions in mind? Because
one that I just kind of thought of just from an exclusive standpoint. The developer's called Team Ninja, and they make the Neo games.
Yep.
They're owned by Koei Tecmo, which makes a bunch of other stuff. So I think that's very unlikely. But I just thought from an exclusive standpoint, the Neo games have only been on PlayStation and maybe on PC too. But that's another kind of interesting one.
That's interesting. It'd be weird for them to buy the rights to Neo and then also From Software.
Right, I know it's direct competitors, really. But
so I was gonna maybe turn the wheel a little bit from first party acquisitions to maybe third-party exclusives. Are there any third parties that you think they could make some marketing deals with, or some exclusive games deals with? Anything that comes to mind?
I had not thought about that.
I've got one, a bigger one. I've got one I'm not as knowledgeable on, and one I'll say the first one. It's not like set in stone. No one knows for sure, but all the Persona games, all the mainline Persona games have been Sony exclusives until recently. I think Persona 4 Golden's on PC or something.
Well, but Persona 5 Strikers is on Switch.
But not the like the numbered games. So they could get Atlas, which is owned by Sega, to keep making Persona 6 only on PlayStation, or Atlas could say maybe Persona 6 comes out and everything.
Right.
So that's what I'm not as knowledgeable about. I haven't played the Personas. But I
played 10 hours of Persona 5.
There you go. The one I was thinking of
the
was
shows.
they could continue to lock up Square Enix to keep the big numbered Final Fantasies on PlayStation. I think Final Fantasy 15 might have been on Xbox. I know there's
it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, but I know Final Fantasy 7 was a PlayStation 1 game. Final Fantasy 8 and 9 PlayStation 1 games. Final Fantasy 10 was a PS2 game. Ever since they split from Nintendo, they've been sticking with Sony at least primarily. Final Fantasy 16 is going to be at least for now a PlayStation console exclusive. It'll be on PC.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh.
PlayStation console exclusive, but it'll be on PC. So I think that'd be interesting for them to keep. They're not going to buy Square Enix, but they could maybe throw Square Enix some money. Like, your games come to PlayStation first for a year, just like Final Fantasy 7 Remake. That's I think it was a 1-year exclusivity, and we haven't actually seen an announcement of an Xbox or a PC.
We're past the 1-year mark.
We are, and I'm wondering if that's because they're like, hey, we got this DLC, and like, oh, well, that's going to stay on there for another year.
Yeah.
So I wonder if what's going on with that. But I think,
and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to keep some, some big third-party games like the Final Fantasies on PlayStation, at least for some amount of time.
Yeah. No, that's interesting.
Yep. Any other games come to mind?
None that come to mind immediately. I would have to go back and do some research on that.
Yeah.
But I guess my thoughts would, kind of some of the same studios I mentioned already.
Yeah.
That they could continue to make deals with or make new deals with. So, like From Software with Bloodborne, maybe there's something else there that they'd want an exclusive. Obviously Demon's Souls exists, but something new, completely new.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's switch over to a game we've all been playing, and one that Mr. Landy has a history with and some more experience with, and that's Monster Hunter Rise.
Here we go.
We're seeing footage right now. Perfect timing.
Yeah, it's funny. I just reset the footage for this, but I think it was just playing Monster Hunter footage. So Landy, give me your thoughts. There's a new update coming out. There's another one coming out next month. What's the state of Monster Hunter Rise right now?
So, new update this week added 4 monsters. None of them are brand new to the Monster Hunter series, but I think all from the list will be ones that people have strong memories of or feelings about from the older games. There's 3 on the roster that came directly from Monster Hunter World, which is the Basil Geese, the Teostra, and Kushala Daora. And those 3 are probably on the list of most Monster Hunter World players' most frustrating monsters to go against. But
are they just as frustrating now?
I was about to go into that.
Okay.
So they have definitely made some changes. The Basil Geese it actually premiered in Monster Hunter World, so this is only its 2nd game to be in. And it was arguably the most frustrating out of the 3, only because it would appear in your other hunts in Monster Hunter World and just screw everything up. Because the Basil Geese has all of these kind of explosive pods on its tail and on its neck, and it drops those depending on what move it does. In
Big
Monster
fan of
Hunter
neck
World,
pods. Big fan.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yep. That's what makes the male Basil Geese look nice. It's a lot of nice pods. And so it would drop those around, and in Monster Hunter World, those pods would stay there for a really long time, and they kind of stay like black until something hits them, and then they start glowing red, and then they'll explode. And so you could be fighting a monster in an area where Basil Geese was earlier, and have all these pods scattered around, that then you would make a wrong hit with your hammer or a wrong hit with your sword, or accidentally shoot one with your gun, and it would activate it and hit you, however long down the line.
Yeah.
So they've gotten rid of that. The pods are now on a timer, but they can also be activated by the monster. And in fact, most of his moves, the first thing he does after dropping them is activate them. When he's in his enraged mode, all the pods are automatically glowing red, so they will explode, right off the bat. Pretty much, you have to be pretty quick to get out of danger in that case. So they've made some changes that it's still going to be a tough monster for even the experienced hunters to deal with, but they've gotten rid of some of the bigger things that were frustrating.
The more frustrating aspects of it?
Yeah. The other two that are coming from Monster Hunter World, Teostra and Kushala, have had a lot of changes to kind of their elemental attacks. Kushala is kind of this wind dragon that just will shoot these tornadoes at you, and it used to have a move where it would just channel this giant tornado and have it there pretty much endlessly. And we had a couple hunts in World where it would block the path of getting to it with this tornado and just sit there behind it, shooting stuff at us through there.
Yeah.
And the only way to get him out was like a flash pod, and if you used one too recently, he couldn't get out of it. So kind of gotten rid of that move that I've noticed, but added some others that will be, I think, compelling and should be really fun to deal with. Teostra is most famous for its big killing move, which is called Supernova, where
original.
You don't want to be anywhere near that guy once he decides he wants to do that, because it's basically going to nuke the whole area that he's in. So yeah, that move was kind of infamous for just wiping out entire squads of hunters, immediately. So those three came back to Monster Hunter World. They also, in this update, added the Chameleos, which was not in Monster Hunter World, but was in a Monster Hunter game that I've played before. He actually was in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, and when I saw him, I recognized him, but I actually took a look. I still have my my PSP here that plays that game.
Nice.
And I took a look to see if I had fought the Chameleos, because like I said, I recognized it, and no, definitely not. Definitely not far enough in the game to have ever seen anything like that. But he boasts some frustrating capabilities as well. He's going to turn either partially invisible or fully invisible during different times in the fight.
If only there were a real world creature that could do such a thing.
And he boasts kind of a upgraded poison debuff that is definitely going to send people into a frenzy to try and get it healed off during the fight. In that game also, though, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, they also had Kushala and Teostra in that game. And then another one from that game is the Rajan, who you guys got to experience a little bit. Definitely a fun one to fight. And one other on the list of kind of the hardest monsters in that game is a monster called the Kirin that was in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, which is, people who play Monster Hunter World will know who that is. It's basically a electric mountain goat that
yes,
was
of course,
quite difficult to deal with, and actually was kind of like a main line story quest in Monster Hunter World, and really it forced people to band together to really take that guy down. He was really difficult. It's kind of a smaller monster, so sometimes harder to tell what it's going to do. On this list, though, like I said, none of these monsters are new, and so I think we might see in the next update possibly a new monster. There's a little bit of story content added in this update that you will see, but I think without spoiling anything for you guys, you'll be able to tell that there's kind of more to come once you get to this point. On the list of new Monster Hunters in Rise, I just wanted to go over this to get you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
It's the Almudron, who's that mud monster that we fought. The Bishatin, which I affectionately call Fruit Monkey. He throws fruit at you.
Oh, yes. Okay, that actually explains it. Which one?
Yeah.
Gas Harag, which is that monster that puts ice on its fists.
Yeah.
Like the ice sight.
Like a big Yeti looking thing.
Yep. One of the first monsters you fight, Great Izuchi. So not too original there, but still a good monster. There are two monsters that are story monsters, so I'm going to leave them off the list for now, just in case it spoils anything.
Yep.
And then Somnicanth, who we fought and slept right in front of many times.
Of course.
We got so tired.
Very soothing.
And Tetranodon. So from that list, as kind of a experienced Monster Hunter player, those are some really compelling fights that kind of stand out for me. And I was kind of wanting to get y'all's opinion. You know, to me, it feels like these monsters are pretty unique compared to other ones in some of the best fights that I've had. But are there any kind of that stick out in y'all's minds that kind of aren't maybe not on that list? Or if that list sounds like the best to you, it's just interesting to me that the newest ones are the most fun for me to fight, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so this is my first Monster Hunter. I guess I'm not the best at knowing like all their names, but I can like recognize what they look like and how they play. But one thing I liked about the game in general was how varied all the different monsters were in both looks and gameplay aspects. You know, how they negatively affect you and all that stuff. Yeah, so I like the Tetranodon. Is he the big like green frog boy?
I was going to say that one too.
Yeah, he's pretty funny.
He'll swallow you up and sumo wrestle you and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, of course. I'm down for that. Sumo frogs are high on my list of imaginary creatures.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think it's funny, like especially when you get into the later level quests. You know, a lot of the monsters are pretty challenging and they're interestingly designed. And I'm a first-time Monster Hunter player as well, so a lot of them either stick out as pretty difficult for me, kind of basic. Some of the early ones like that I thought were hard because I had never played a Monster Hunter before, like the Izuchi, the Great Baggy, the Lagombi. That one is hilarious because it does like a slip and slide, move. I love that. I think that's pretty funny, especially when it's like getting out of there. You just see it go off into the distance. It's really funny.
Zoom.
Yeah, so it's funny how you categorize, or how I categorize in my head, like the different monsters. There's ones that are really challenging, like I said, and then some basic ones, and then kind of the goofy ones that fall in the middle that aren't necessarily challenging, but they're memorable.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of challenging ones that have come up against recently. Like the Rathalos is frustrating, and I know that's probably a lot of people share the sentiment because that one's like a mainstay in the series, right? So.
Yep.
But yeah, ones that in that vein, like big flying dragons, or ones that are difficult to damage, like what is it, the Basarios? It's got all those rocks on it, and you're just constantly like dinging off of it and not really doing much damage. So you have to really strategize there. So yeah, there's lots of cool ones, and they all kind of obviously it's all new to me, so they all kind of stick out. And then there are some that fall into the wayside as just being really basic, but that's to be expected.
You got to, and we've talked about this a couple of times of kind of the onboarding of this game, of getting you guys, used to the systems, the combat, and that it is a very technical game that has a lot of really tough aspects of that. Yeah. And so having some monsters like the Izuchi, like the Ludroth, the sponge monster.
Oh, that one has a really goofy armor set.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Baggy, who's kind of that same sort of velociraptor as the Izuchi, having those that are, will present some compelling aspects during the fight, but will still kind of let you play around and have a little leeway, I guess, to feel things out, I think are good to have. And so they definitely play their role in kind of, like I said, onboarding people into the series. That's some interesting insights. I was just curious about that.
I was gonna bring up just the ideas of these updates in general. This game just came out in late March, and there's already this update, and then they've already said there's another big update coming that has story content in it next month.
And it's free, right?
As far as I understand, they're free. And it's funny. It's like Monster Hunter Rise definitely was not short for content in the original release. No. But I almost wonder, like, do you think they purposely parsed out these couple things to have like updates to keep the engagement lasting, and they just purposely, left it out,
I think so. You kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, and maybe we'll have a little bit more of a discussion on this when you guys get to the end of the story, which is so interesting how they did this story, because there's kind of the solo village quests that you guys have both completed.
Yeah.
But we're not done. We still have more story, and even now where I am, I know that the next update coming with story is going to have, lots more things in it. Maybe some resolutions, maybe not. Maybe it's going to string people along a little more and a little more.
Yeah.
And so, that's one of the things is this game has a big following and a lot of fans, and I like the idea to put out a full game with plenty of content for people to enjoy,
for sure.
But at the same time, leave people wanting a little bit more and delivering on that, and basically saying, you spent your money on this, and we have something that we want to put together for you. We just think it's going to be better to be enjoyed over time, and give you a little time to maybe not focus on just doing the story and focus on kind of making yourself stronger as a hunter. And then once those challenges do come out, now you're ready and you've had time to prepare for it and stuff.
Yeah.
And it almost simulates, like events happening, in the game in reality in sort of a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart idea because like I said, they've got plenty of content in the base game, and it's like, say just to make a round number, say the base game has 50 hours of content, which I know it has more. If you had 75 or 100 hours of that, a lot of people aren't going to get past that first 50 hours and play the last 50. But if they advertise it and show it like add-on content later, it might get people to like, oh, I need to go check that out and like get back into the game and keep playing. And it keeps the people who are already playing longer.
Right.
And just the marketing angle, keeps it in people's minds and makes it feel like, oh, they're going to keep adding to this game and supporting it, which I think is a smart move.
When it comes down the line of pay $10 to add to this game, then you kind of, you have people already in a sense. With
Monster Hunter World, tell me if I'm wrong, did they not do that same formula, like release kind of regular updates, and then they released a Monster Hunter World Iceborne, right? They kind of followed that same trend of giving you some more after release, and then eventually they asked you to pay for it, right? And it was something that was, from what I remember hearing about reviews and stuff, it was like substantial.
I would say yes. This is probably a stem off of that. I would say the content getting added. I remember specifically there were a couple different events that happened. One event that they put out was a new monster from all accounts that I can think of to Monster Hunter World, where it was a monster fight, but you never killed the monster. You were kind of fighting it as it walked along this path and breaking pieces off of it the whole time.
Oh, interesting.
And was this whole new mechanic that was kind of different, but still fun, and kind of opened up some special armors that would not have been in before. They did the same thing where Teostra was not in the base game of Monster Hunter World, so they added several of those monsters later on. And actually, one that I can definitely remember that they added was Teostra has a counterpart, just much like the Rathalos and the Rathian, called, I think, Lunastra.
Cool.
And so that's one. If Teostra gets put in the game, we can definitely say Lunastra is probably going to be in the game not much longer after.
Yeah.
She's got to make sure her mates not running off causing trouble without her having anything to say.
Got to keep them in check.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yes, I think they probably are working on trying to perfect that formula, and doing well so far, in my opinion. I mean, I think it's pleasing the people that go through the game quickly, and then is going to be appreciated by people maybe later on down the line that haven't gone through the game super fast or pick it up later and realize they kind of have all this stuff open to them now at this point.
Right. Yeah. For me, I think that this game is definitely going to turn into. It's going to stick around for a while. I think I'm having a good time, and it's my first entry into. If it doesn't cause me to go back and play Monster Hunter, it'll certainly cause me to. It'll incentivize me to buy the upcoming iterations of the game in the future. So I'm glad that I dived into this one. Dove into this one.
Dived is correct.
Wire-bugged into this one?
I wire-bugged it. Thank you. So
wire-bugged
it into this entry. It's been a really good time. So it's going to be one of those things that kind of sits off to the side, and I keep going back and playing while playing all the new stuff that's coming out and other things. So, good time.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other final thoughts, Andrew?
No, that's pretty much it. I could talk about Monster Hunter forever.
I did have one question.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know if Capcom did something similar to this in other entries, but it seems like they put a mini microtransaction in this game, where you have to kind of pay to even edit your character. I think you get like vouchers for editing like your character from the ground up, like everything about it, and then I think they give you like 1 or 2 for free, and then the other ones are like if you want more, you have to pay like $2.99 or something. So I wanted to get Andy's feedback on that, why they would do it like that.
Yeah,
it's been the same in other games.
So, and from what I was hearing was that they were adding in DLC content for more appearance settings. I might not have the whole story there, but I didn't think it was.
I think that's true. Yeah.
I didn't understand the part of it that was also each time you want to edit it, you're gonna get gate kept until you have that voucher. But that might be true. I think they're very cognizant of the fan base caring a lot about the aesthetics, and I will say that you only have to look to the layered armor update in this first rollout to see that, because stuff like that kind of didn't really come in, at least from my memory, didn't really come in right away in Monster Hunter World. There were layered armors from events that came out, but being able to just deck your character out in whatever monster's armor you want from pretty much the beginning of the game is definitely going to be a well-received thing at the fans
without sacrificing the stats.
Right, exactly, without sacrificing the stats. Yeah, not putting on, my character right now has the Basil Geese armor, which is formulated for, I don't know, maybe a gun lance or something. It's got like guard 3 and special ammo up and kind of stats that I would never.
You're saying that's the layered armor you use?
Yes. So I have the aesthetic overlay, and then underneath it I have my kind of my hunting horn or whoever set kind of underneath that. And so I think they're really cognizant that people care about the aesthetics and care enough about them to pay for them.
Yeah.
And so if it does get to that point, you will. For me, I'm going to wear my helmet in all my social spaces.
Yeah.
I'm going to just have my stuff on. I don't really care how perfect and meticulous my character creation is.
Yeah.
There's some people that do, and it's more power to them. I mean, if they want to pay $3 for a dozen more hairstyles and more options, that's all fine with me.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'd handle that idea respectfully and don't take advantage of their fan base there. But, cool. All right, so let's switch off of Monster Hunter and get back into some games that we haven't heard from in a while that maybe we're looking forward to. I have a few on my list. Some I think we'll see soon, some maybe not so soon. But do y'all have anything that comes to mind? Games you really want to get your hands on that might be coming out soon? Who knows?
Yeah, so I think that so I do have one game in particular. I have several, but one game that I think is going to be shared between all three of us that we're looking forward to, and hopefully we hear something soon. But I think we've kind of avoided talking about it on the podcast up to this point, not for any specific reason. It just hasn't been brought up. But Elden Ring, I need some more information on that game.
Yeah, maybe they showed that a little bit too soon. Who knows?
They got into the Metroid Prime 4 situation where they showed it, and then we're really not close to being ready. I know COVID, and everything happened. Who knows where we'd be without the pandemic happening? But I would really love to see some of that game other than the weird leaked trailer.
I still have not seen that. I saw.
You haven't watched it?
I saw like very little of it in a video. Yeah. Like a video of a video kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I've not seen the
Oh yeah, same
original.
Here. That's how I saw it.
Well, I mean, like so video of a video, but in someone else's video. Like,
oh wow,
like someone had that video in their corner. And I saw part of it.
I feel like that's probably what I saw too.
Yeah.
It was very bad quality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we really know we know nothing about it for the most part. We have this cool cinematic trailer. We know that George R.R. Martin is, he wrote the lore or whatever behind it.
That's the problem right there. Is that's why it's never going to come out.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's taking inspirations from like maybe some Norse or Scandinavian stuff, and then like Celtic stuff, and kind of wrapping it all in one. And there's more like it's open world-ish, or that's kind of all the rumors we're hearing. But aside from that, nothing. And I think the hope is that E3 is where it'll come up, even if it's like, okay, not until early 2022. Fine. I just want to see more of that game because the most recent thing we have technically is Demon's Souls, but I think we talked last week. While that game looks beautiful and it's is very faithful to the original and it's still a really fun game, it's it is FromSoft's first like attempt at that in that genre, and that genre has only grown and gotten better since then. So. I want something that's truly original and new and really advancing the formula, of the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, like all that stuff, just to continue to advance it. So I can't wait to see more about it. I know that like people are getting crazy out there on Reddit and stuff, like making up their own mythology and lore and bosses and all this stuff, which I haven't looked into.
It's falling into that trap of like it has such a fervent fan base and it hasn't been seen for so long. It's ultimately going to disappoint. Like it could be an amazing game. People have built it up in their head canon as like. So big and awesome, it's like it's gonna piss off someone,
I'm sure. Every game will always upset somebody, but I think it's still going to be on par, if not better than what FromSoft has put out, with all their other games, because that's what they do, and I do trust them in that sense. So it would be crushing if it's not a good game, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good game. It's just I want to see more of it. So that's one thing I had on my list. But I'll let you guys,
Any thoughts on Elden Ring, Landy?
Oh no, I totally in agreement. It's one of those things where, you're exactly right. And if people in this kind of genre of just this hobby of were a little more patient, it would be completely different. But it's just not the way that it is, and it's not really the way that it's been for a long time. And I think you probably should have foreseen that. And maybe we've had tons of problems with it. I mean, sometimes games have done really well despite that, and then we can have a Cyberpunk situation. I mean, I'm hoping to goodness that nothing like that will happen to this game. But it's just the fan base can be very compelling to try and push things out, and I would rather it be ready than
for sure
be rushed. And so if we don't have to see anything for a while, it's just going to frustrate me, but it's not going to be anything compared to how frustrating it would be to have it be done poorly.
Well,
so
let's not beat around the bush here. There's one person squarely to blame for this. That's George R.R. Martin. And The Winds of Winter and Elden Ring will never come out, and I place that squarely on him.
That's fair. It's fair.
Landy, you have a game in mind? Another game you're looking forward to?
Well, I mean, there's a lot on the Nintendo list that can come to mind, but I will, and it's almost tough to throw shade out about it, just because of the situation of the past year.
For sure,
so
for sure.
I am just hoping that a lot of these things will get news in the summer, and then I'll start my indignation after the summer comes out, and it's like, okay, come on.
So I guess one thing I want to emphasize with this conversation, I don't want to like shame developers or force them to put stuff out. This is just just things that they dangled the carrot in front of me, and I would like to see the carrot.
So I'd like to hold the carrot.
I'd like to hold the carrot. So you mentioned some Nintendo stuff. There's a couple that come to mind, but I'll knock this one out first. Breath of the Wild 2.
Or whatever it's going to be called.
I'm gonna call it Breath of the Wild 2 for simplicity here, because we actually don't know. We don't know the name. We saw that, was it E3 2019? Yep. We saw that cool trailer, and the trailer made me think maybe it was further along, because they showed a trailer, not just it wasn't a gameplay trailer, but they still showed something that wasn't like a title flash.
There's going to be overlap in assets, like
for sure,
using the same assets that
sure.
they used before. Right. Yeah.
And we had a direct recently. Everyone was like, "Oh, Breath of the Wild 2 going to be in this?" And Eiji Aonuma, the series producer, when talking about Skyward Sword, did say that they are not quite ready to talk about Breath of the Wild 2, but we'll see. He might have said soon or news to come. And I
something
think,
like that. Something vague.
I don't want to like get my hopes up and set expectations, but I think it's pretty safe to say we'll see something at this year's E3. It's going to be the biggest show they'll have this year, and they showed it originally at E3, and they've already mentioned that news will come soon or later this year, whatever they said. I think E3 would be a pretty safe, guess as to when we'll see it again.
Yep.
And it's almost like, it feels like they need, a lot of these companies want the stage to be set, and throughout all of 2020, it didn't feel like the stage could ever really be set.
Yep.
But it feels like with this E3 being, just open.
I'm so excited for E3,
to be able to watch it.
Yeah.
That is the stage. If you're gonna do something, you should do it there. And so that's kind of what my hopes are. I totally agree that Breath of the Wild. I think you're right that we will hear something. Who knows what it could be, but that was definitely the impression that I got from that direct. So I agree with that for sure.
Well, I've got another Nintendo game, one that I don't think will be at E3, but hopefully maybe see within a year or so, and that's a old Metroid Prime 4. Famously showed a logo or like a title screen, and then we didn't hear anything, and then January 2019, they were very forthcoming and very honest. They're like, yeah, we're starting over, so which is surprising coming from a historically secretive company like Nintendo. They straight up acknowledge that they're starting over.
And I think it's good that they were able to admit something like that. Yeah. And I think other companies could take a lesson from that. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess kind of in a similar vein, but not exactly this topic, but games that we pretty much know exist, but they haven't been confirmed. But the Metroid Prime trilogy, I would love to see something about that, because I feel like it's just a very justified assumption to make that that's probably going to come out, because how long ago did those games come out? They want to probably bring new fans into the fold, and I've never played the original Metroid Prime games, so it's been a while since we've heard anything on Metroid Prime 4, but I would like to see something about the trilogy if it exists. If
we are going to see something at E3 Metroid wise, I think the trilogy is more likely than 4. They're definitely going to show the trilogy. Let me rephrase. The trilogy is going to come out before 4. They want to build up hype for it. So I think that is a possibility to see E3. Maybe we'll see a new there's rumors of the 2D Metroid that'll be at E3. Who knows? One of those hasn't come out since, I guess, Samus Returns in the 3DS, which was a remake or a remaster of an old game. So maybe we'll see something there.
Yeah.
But I think Metroid Prime 4. So 2019. Say it takes them 4 years to make it, or 3-4 years to make it. That's looking at early, maybe late 2023, 2024. That could be the swan song of the Switch / the launch title of the next Switch kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think that's possible. I'm not expecting to see that this year or anything, but I would like to.
Yep, me too.
We can always hope.
Yeah. So I've got 2 more games. One that's they're a little bit different scenarios. Do y'all have anything else y'all have on y'all's list before I jump into those?
I have a few more, but I only want to mention one because I think you're going to mention one, and so I'll let you do that. And maybe you guys are thinking about this one too. But that game Starfield from Bethesda.
Oh yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that they have said that that's coming out before Elder Scrolls 6.
Yep.
So the only Elder Scrolls game I've ever played is Skyrim, and I never even finished that, even though it was fun. I put 50 hours into it. I probably still didn't scratch the surface, but I'm interested to see more about this totally new, genre of game for them. And I don't think I've ever played a truly good, or maybe any true space exploration, RPG. I've never played anything like that I can think of off the top of my head. So I'd like to see more about that. I have a note down that it was announced, I think, at E3 2018.
Yep.
Which was a while ago, obviously. And if that is coming before the next Elder Scrolls game, then I feel like it's a reasonable assumption, to say it could be shown off this year.
There's a lot of fun stuff within Starfield. One, there was like literal leaked screenshots that were definitely, really? Yeah, that was like maybe half a year ago. But what's interesting to me, this is, you mentioned earlier, Microsoft purchased ZeniMax. And I wonder if Starfield, because I'm assuming when Bethesda originally started the game, it was a all consoles game. I wonder if that's still the case. If they already have a PS5 version, they have in contract with Sony, that'll be on the PS5, or if Microsoft has exclusivized, made that exclusive to the Xbox, or who knows? That'd be interesting to see.
Be interesting to see. Yep.
So now here's one of my games. I think all three of us will reminisce. Really want to see this game coming. Also shown at E3 2019, there was even a demo for it, and that is a Silk Song, Hollow Knight Silk Song, which started out as a Hornet DLC for the original Hollow Knight at the Kickstarter program, and then it was one of the Kickstarter promises. They had like the 3 or 4 DLCs that were free in the game.
Yeah, right.
And the people who actually backed that are getting Silk Song for free, which is cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're giving, because it was part of what they paid for.
That's Team Cherry, right?
Team Cherry, which I think is like 3 people. That's why I don't want to, 3 people. I don't want to rush them too much, but also
have they not expanded? Do you think since the success?
So I don't know. But I had an interesting thought. And I'll get back in the actual game, but just while we're on Team Cherry, with the COVID thing, a lot of games got delayed. It makes you wonder if would COVID delay a team of 3 people as much as it would delay a team of 100.
Well, no, because the responsibility isn't on so many people who could be affected in vastly different ways. But it just depends on how they work together and what kind of environment they had set up. Because obviously, if you have, even if they have, I'm sure they have their own little studio. Probably pretty easy to social distance.
That's what I'm saying. But like when you think about it, a team of 3 people, they're probably relatively close in real life. If I had to guess, and like you're not going with social guideline, what's it called, social distancing guidelines with like your family. No. So it almost makes you wonder, like, what if they just like have been working at the same pace this whole time?
You would have hoped we would have seen something about the game, but then at that point,
they have been updating. They've been giving like blog updates with small things like new characters and stuff like that. But
they have been doing that. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, but like it's very minimal, just drip feeding, and nothing that's been like actually getting big press. It's just like on their website. They'll be
didn't 2019 E3 when they showed that demo and everything? Didn't they say? Like coming soon.
The game said, yes, I thought it was going to come out like that year. It said coming
that year,
soon,
exactly.
And they had a playable demo, and then it's been like a year and a half now.
I mean, maybe they did have some COVID impacts like lots of people have, and I'm not going to assume just because they are a small team that they weren't impacted in some way.
Yeah,
I don't know where they're based out of. Is that an American company?
I think it's French.
Yeah, well, there are probably different restrictions in place. So they were probably impacted in some way. But yeah, maybe they've the scope of the game has increased.
That's what I'm hoping for. If they want to get ambitious and make an even bigger game than the original, I'm all for that. I want, like Andrew said earlier with the Cyberpunk, I would rather it come out done and ready and good than to come out sooner.
Yep.
I know all 3 of us have played that game, Hollow Knight, that is, and I'm ready for that game. I think this one they showed there's like a quest system. You have like a quest log. It seems like they're making more mechanics. Hornet seems to have more stylized movement options, and Hornet will be fun. Is this game is it a prequel? Or is it even like part of the? Did they mention that?
I thought was it not like semi-concurrent or something like that?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But I think they did mention. So in Hollow Knight, you start at the top and you're digging your way down. I think this one you start in the bottom and you're going up. I think that's
pretty cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I think they mentioned that.
Yeah.
When they first showed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it tickles a memory that Brandon's saying it's kind of concurrent. I think that might be right. But we'll have to see, and maybe that's part of it. Maybe that was the storyline when they wanted it as DLC, and then they got some bigger ideas for it and had to change it around. Who knows?
Yeah, probably. That kind of it's similar to the Breath of the Wild 2 situation, because it wasn't a lot. Then they have like a bunch of DLC ideas, and they're like, okay, we have so much going on here. We need to make this a sequel. So it seems like maybe it falls in that same category.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and with Hollow Knight, I played through it. I did, I finished the story in the most basic way that you could. I know there's different endings and bosses and some more stuff you can do. I only did the most basic amount and then I stopped. But it was really fun. I'll probably do the same thing with this next iteration. Yep. I'll just play through it and get to the final, whatever final boss version of that final boss I get to. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it because it's got of course, like all the platforming challenges and the interesting way you traverse the environment, and obviously the combat is difficult, which is reminiscent of 3D action games like Dark Souls and everything. So you have to be real meticulous with what you're doing. You can't just mash buttons most of the time. So yeah, it'll be good. I'd like to see more of that as well.
Yeah, if it's anything like Hollow Knight, it's good because I would say Hollow Knight is probably one of, if not the best bang for your buck releases. It's a quality game. They add free content constantly. It's already a big game.
That's the thing about those indie Kickstarter games. Like they're they come from humble beginnings, I guess. People who were perhaps just like the fans are. Like they just want the best value and really good quality going into these games, so they understand that, and it makes sense.
Yeah, maybe we'll make our own 3-person team, maybe Team Banana or something like that.
I'm not a big fan of bananas. We have
I apologize.
That's a little too on the nose, I think.
Sorry. Yeah, I think so.
So
Team Orange.
Team Orange, there we go.
Behind that. I can get behind that.
I've got one more game, which I think barely fits in this category. If anyone has anything else they want to say before that.
I'm good.
I mentioned one that I think is starting to have some rumblings. I haven't looked into the news that much, and it might have a lot more out about it than I know, but they're having, and this is kind of not necessarily maybe one that people have been anticipating for a super long time, but one that I'm looking forward to is Battlefield 6.
There have been some rumblings of that coming out. Yeah.
And I think, I don't pretend to speak for everybody who plays first-person shooter, but I think that there's been a little bit of a gap for it. I think that a lot of people that enjoy FPS got Outriders and have been playing that and have been having fun with it. I've played some of it myself, gotten through to the end game basically, and kind of working on the farming in that.
I really want to play that game. It's on Game Pass. And I need to. We need to play that.
I downloaded it. I have not played it.
I've also downloaded it.
It's definitely worth the play. You can go through it really fast or really slow. So it's kind of up to the player in that case, and I think that's good for people that want to play through with a different class setting or something like that. And so that genre is in a little bit of a weird place right now. These long-lasting kind of perpetual battle royales are really sort of the only voice right now. I mean, Apex is getting consistent updates. Call of Duty is getting consistent updates to Warzone. Fortnite, obviously, whatever that is, getting updates. That it has a market for, right? Clearly, but and so kind of that competitive multiplayer aspect of not being a battle royale is still something that needs to be filled a little bit, especially for people that aren't fans of Call of Duty or aren't fans of whatever else. Apex is kind of actually going towards that with introducing the arena mode, which I don't know if you guys have heard about, but they're putting in a 3v3 deathmatch.
Oh, like a small map thing? Like a smaller map? Oh, cool. Yep. Yeah, that's really cool. I might actually try that. I liked Apex.
It's got a buy system similar to games like Valorant or Rogue Company.
Counter-Strike.
Yep. Like Counter-Strike. There's a little bit differences to the economy, it sounds like. In some of those games, your guns will carry over to the next round. It sounds like in this one they might not. So it might be important to
high risk if you buy a good gun.
Team say, hey, this time I'm only going to get the alternator. I'll be cover fire, but you get the hemlock that you're really good with, and kind of take them all out. And kind of a risk reward thing there. Of well, if I spend all of my materials on a triple take this round, is it going to be worth it if I just get killed from the start by somebody from behind? So I think that's definitely a kind of aspect of the market that could be filled by, either maybe this Apex update or by what's going to happen with Battlefield. And I'm excited to hear some news about that. So keep our ears out.
Zach, I have to reference the high quality gameplay that's going on in Monster Hunter right now. Why aren't you sharpening your sword? What's wrong with you?
I like to make the game. I like to make the game a little more challenging for myself.
I just watched you just ding off of the.
Yeah, right now. What are you talking about?
Make it a little more challenging.
Sorry.
No worries. No worries. I'm pretty sure this specific Monster Hunter footage has gone like 6 times.
Yeah. Everyone else can see what I'm seeing.
All right, watch. Here's what you don't do with.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll make a guide out of that. Make a guide. How to not play with a longsword.
He's killing those small monsters.
Of course.
I will say is maybe your highest skill level.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
You don't leave any of them alive.
Yeah, I leave a dead battlefield behind me.
Yeah.
Completely cleared.
So my last game, it's not this one. Like I said, it's not really. It barely fits in this category because it was revealed somewhat recently, but we haven't seen more footage since, and that is Final Fantasy 16. And I think we'll see some of that at E3. I really hope, because I know Square will be there. And they had an event recently where they showed their Western developers what they're working on. But I would like to see their main Japanese development studios talk about some Final Fantasy. I'm all in on Final Fantasy 16. I'm down for the. It's different. It has the futuristic, and then it has the medieval. Sometimes they mix the two. But this one just looks like a straight up medieval based game. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, me too. I really like that high fantasy setting.
Yep.
And I haven't played. I think I mentioned several times on the podcast. I haven't played many Final Fantasy games, but I'm building up that gaming history now.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 12 and others. So it'll be cool when that comes around.
They're giving some updates and interviews and what have you. But I think we'll see something at E3. Maybe even a release date. Who knows?
Sure. What do you think about that? Maybe early next year? I feel like that's not a this year game.
I think it was maybe originally this year, but now it's definitely a next year, I think.
Yeah.
That's anything else come to mind? Or is that the last one?
No, I'm good.
So the last real subject here is kind of an interesting one, little brain experiment. So after 2.5 years, I believe October 2018, Mario Party or Super Mario Party for the Nintendo Switch got an update for something it should have had, or maybe
they heard the fans.
They heard the fans. They added an online mode, which is cool. I like Super Mario Party, but what I think is more interesting is not. The game itself. That's if you're still playing it, good for you. I'm not really playing it right now. Maybe I'll jump back in to play some online. But what I think is interesting is, are there any other Nintendo games that maybe weren't supported post-launch that maybe will get some random update added in? Anything any ideas there? Because there's a lot of games that people wanted DLC for that never got it. That maybe they're dipping their toe back into it. I remember maybe a year ago in one of the Nintendo financial meetings, the Furukawa, the CEO or president, whatever his title is, he mentioned that they wanted to expand on some of the evergreen titles, give content to them. And then we didn't see anything with that for a while. Nothing happened. He just said that and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Other than Animal Crossing's continually getting stuff. But I want to see, is there any games that haven't been touched in a couple of years that maybe you would like to see an update for?
Yeah. I had a couple thoughts, but Andy, you have any initial? I'll let you kick this off.
And it's interesting because there's lots of levels to this, right? Is we can talk about new content, like what Animal Crossing does. Content's kind of constantly coming out for that game, and I think there's definitely a big fan base that enjoys that new event.
And I feel like that game needs it.
Things to collect. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to have more content for that game to keep going.
Yeah.
There's always been stuff that those games you've kind of had as things on your checklist, and then whenever this content comes out, I think that adds things that people want. Wanting the one-up mushroom that comes from the Mario update, or
heck yeah,
whatever the case is. That they can put in their house and light up as a lamp.
Warp Pipe is the best update to that game. That should have been it from the beginning. Warp Pipe is so good.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
for sure. So. There's things like that, content updates, and then there's what this Mario Party thing, which is kind of lack of a better term, it's a quality of life update. Now, who knows what life that game still had at this point, but maybe it's breathed some more into it. And so it's one of those things that it kind of, in my opinion, it shows that Nintendo can sort of breathe life into these games that had maybe a struggling online or were released at the time when the online was struggling. And maybe that translates to games that haven't gotten a lot of attention. One of the things we've talked about a couple of times is, in Smash Bros, if the three of us want to play, that's fine. We start an arena. But let's say if I have somebody locally that I want to add to that arena too, well, I have to hand off the sticks to them instead of four of us being able to play. Yeah. So I think there's little things like that it gives me a spark of hope for. Things like that in Mario Kart as well as Smash and plenty of other titles. But there's nothing super specific that comes to mind straight off the bat of kind of first party titles that need some TLC.
What about you, Brendan?
So, I mean, one that I thought of, and this was another, like, similar to you, Andy, like it was kind of hard for me to think of stuff for this because, I looked at, like, my history of recent Nintendo games, and, a lot of them either had DLC or maybe didn't necessarily need it. I didn't feel like they needed it. But one thing I thought of was Super Mario Odyssey. It did get some post-launch support, of course, with
Balloon World.
Yes, Balloon World, and they added more like costumes or outfits or whatever.
Yep.
But I would love to see like a new kingdom or two, which I was really surprised that they didn't do.
That would have been such an easy slam dunk.
Yes.
They could have just been like, "Hey, for $30 more, you're going to buy these
3 more kingdoms."
Yeah,
and I would have bought it up instantly and had a great time because as far as 3D platformers go, that one was probably one of the best I've ever played.
Yep.
So like true 3D platforms, not something like a Ratchet and Clank, which
even over Mario 64.
Hey, I've said before and I'll say again, Mario 64 is the best one out of the 3D All-Stars pack.
Maybe
never ever agree with that. Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 are some of my favorite games ever. Mario 64, I respect it for what it is. I understand, the groundwork it laid and all that stuff, and it's still a good game. I just couldn't stand playing it. I got through it, got the 70 stars or whatever, and couldn't do any more than that. Yeah. But on the new content front, I think that I don't think at this point they would do it. I think we're too far out for. It must have been 2017, right? October
2017.
Like 2017.
Yep.
Is when Super Mario Odyssey came out. So I think we're too far away from that now to expect DLC for it rather than just a new game.
Yeah, you got to assume whatever ideas they had are just going into the next one.
Exactly.
Whether it's an Odyssey 2 or if it's a new game entirely, I assume that's.
So this is more just a reflection on that game, and I wish we had gotten content for it. The other one I thought of, which is probably in the same category of, we'll probably just get whatever they would have put in a DLC in the next iteration of the game, but Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yep.
That game obviously has done very well on the Switch. We talked about last week, I think, that, when's another one coming out? Like, do they need to put another one out anytime soon? If they don't, add some more tracks or something like that. I don't know, something to bring me back into the game because I put a good amount of hours into it, and it's always a good game that just kind of sits in the background. It's good for parties or whatever, playing with friends. But
good to have.
It'd be cool to see. Yeah, it'd be cool to see more content, for that. And Andy mentioned online improvements and stuff like that. So
I'm pretty surprised it didn't. I'm pretty surprised Mario Kart 8 did not get a new track or two or maybe a new character, something, because it sold 35 million copies or whatever.
Right, and I think because it was released under this, moniker of the deluxe edition,
they can't add to that.
Exactly, it already has all the content that it had before, and this is the definitive way to play it, and so it's kind of weird to.
They might have got some bad press for DLC for a
deluxe edition. That this is
game.
Everything. This is the best way to play it, but here, pay $15 more, which I would have.
Yeah.
I'm not everybody, so. But those were kind of the best I could think of. But
you actually stole the two. I was going to say Mario Kart 8 and Super Mario Odyssey.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
One that did cross my mind, which the only reason I don't even have it on my list, I decided to remove it, but I might as well bring it up. Luigi's Mansion 3, which was a really good time.
Didn't they got some sort of post-launch support?
Yeah? It got something, yeah. But I thought of like, okay, how could they add DLC to that? Like they can't just like add new floors to the hotel. Like I feel like that would be weird. They could add like I don't know, some other attachment to the.
What about like an online? Does that game have online co-op? Like for the base game?
I don't know if that it has online co-op. I think it has online like battle modes. Or something. But as far as playing through the main game together, I don't think it has co-op.
I know the base game has the couch co-op where one could be Guigi.
I played through that. Yeah, with my fiance. So
that would be a cool to play. You get to be Guigi. You get to play as Guigi for me. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So I think that one did cross my mind because I only played it when it came out. And I went back to it, which I'm sure I will eventually because it was a good time. Maybe that would be what brought me back into it. A new building or something to explore.
While we're on the topic, quick thoughts on Guigi. Any thoughts? Big fan. I think he's a little unsettling, but I'm overall a big fan as well.
Big fan, yeah. Yep. Very convenient as if you can get through like small areas.
Guigi for Smash?
I'm big fan.
Echo Fighter.
Echo Fighter.
I would love a Guigi skin for
a skin for Luigi.
How about Guigi and he has kind of the painting effect that the Inklings do.
There you go.
Imagine
Echo Fighter.
Imagine, this would be so bad if him walking around, he like leaves a trail of then you slip on it.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be rough.
Flying behind, yeah.
And
he's like, Luigi's already slippery, but Guigi, if you try and land on a platform, I mean, good luck.
Good luck.
You just slip right off.
Yeah. So to put my tinfoil hat on.
There we go.
I almost wonder, do you think this update is like a pseudo beta test for the online that'll be in Super Mario Party 2 that they'll announce in a few months?
You think they're going to announce Super Mario Party 2 in a few months?
I really think so. Because, look, the Super Mario Party, this is the 11th one. So they're not opposed to putting 3 or 4 on one console.
No.
They haven't added any actual content to this game. And it sold, I think the last update, it sold like 13.5 million copies, which for like...
Very good.
For Nintendo, it's like 13.5 million, whatever. But like if you look at like Sony first parties, that's like more than almost all of them, which is unfathomable to think that a random game like that can get that many. It's a different scenario, but still,
it's sold game though.
13.5 million copies, maybe 15 by this next update. They're most certainly making a second one, or at least something to get people to buy more of this game.
Well, and that's a long-standing series that is good for playing with friends and all that. Like that's what Nintendo's been known for a long time, is the family console, right? So there are certain games that fall into that category that people are just going to pick up when they have the console. So your Mario Kart, your Smashes, and your Mario Parties, and everything else that falls in that category. So it makes sense that it sold as well as it has.
One of the big opinions on this game was when it came out, it was I felt the same way. It was a good game that was a little bare bones.
Yep.
But it was like a great solid base. Like, they're definitely going to add mini games. They're definitely going to add boards and characters, and they didn't. So I almost feel like adding this online, they're trying to test out the bugs, and like they can use the excuse of like, it's an old game, it didn't do so well, but really they're fixing up the online for Super Mario Party 2 that's going to come out.
It's always easy to speculate about that stuff. You never know what's going on behind the scenes. Hopefully they're the hope is that they're always improving stuff like that. Improving their online stuff specifically is that that's been their weak point for a long time. So
there's their Achilles heel.
Zach, and
hot
I don't
take.
think that's tinfoil hat at all.
No,
I totally agree with that. And it would not it would actually not upset me at all. I mean, it's free content for a game that
you can't complain about the free content.
Right. And since when has any gamer ever had a problem with being a beta tester for a game? I mean, and it's just the truth, and maybe they're not being as upfront with it, but I wouldn't really mind personally. And to be fair, Nintendo's a little bit newer into the online multiplayer thing, so they probably do have some growing pains to deal with. And I think if that is the case, then this is not a bad solution in my mind.
Yep. Cool. Well, that about wraps up all the subjects we have today, but I do have some games for y'all. One that very popular. We've done the first 2 episodes, and a new one. This is more of just like a interesting did you know kind of thing. But if y'all have y'all's pens and papers ready, y'all can write down these little things.
I do.
So Sony recently had a financial update, and I'm a big numbers guy. It's a weird thing. I love numbers and I love video games. So for some strange reason, when like Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft has like an earnings report, I'm like obsessed with the numbers. It's very cathartic for me to like make graphs and stuff. It's very silly. I'm a strange man. So I saw an interesting graph from Daniel Ahmad on Twitter. He covers a lot of financial stuff from video games, so I follow him because he's interesting to me. I'm going to list you 6 categories that Sony reported that make up their entire revenue. Okay? And you're going to guess the order in which these, because it's kind of surprising, the order in which these 6 categories from greatest to least amount of money earned. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Yep.
Sony, any guess on what their revenue was from this last year? Any guess?
No.
So, their revenue was $25 billion.
Yeah, I knew it'd be in the billions. But
Sorry, their gaming division, not Sony, but the gaming division, PlayStation.
it's insane, but
So these are the 6 categories that make up that $25 billion. You have, in no particular order, console hardware sales, PS4, PS5, hardware sales. Retail software, like going to Walmart, picking up Returnal. Digital software, going on the PlayStation Store and downloading Returnal. Add-on content, so this includes DLCs and microtransactions. Network services, you have your PS Plus, your PS Nows, your subscriptions basically. And then peripherals and other, so buying a DualSense controller, buying a headset, buying a PSVR. Okay, so six categories. You have them all?
I think so.
Hardware, digital software, retail software, add-on content, services, and peripherals and accessories.
Yep.
Okay. We're
Okay.
gonna do a blind rating.
So y'all can do that. Y'all can collaborate. Y'all can just.
What do you think, Brendan?
I'm down to collaborate.
Yeah. So,
Okay. I would say the top 2 are
we starting at the top?
Yeah,
we're
going.
start at the top. I would say the top 2 are most likely, and I'm not sure which of the 2, so I'd like to get your opinion, and you might think something else. But the top 2 are probably add-on content and network services.
I did think network services was up there. I was going to put network services at number 1 because of the install base and like the number of people who have PlayStation Plus or whatever.
I'm down to agree with that. I also think it's probably one of the most, what does it cost them? You give somebody permission to play with their friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So y'all put network services at 1?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what we'll start with.
Do you want us to have our whole list ready and then we go through it, or do you want to do it one at a time?
Oh, you write it down. We'll make a concise thing at the end.
Okay. Okay.
But I jotted y'all down for network services at 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So add-on and add-on content and digital software.
Yes.
Those are the next 2 for me.
Anything hardware related, they're either taking a loss at the beginning or they're not making. That's not where you make a lot of your money. So
Right.
I agree with some of the digital stuff.
So
I don't know.
I'll just cite some examples here, and this is a microcosm, but I'm just saying there are people like this out there.
Oh yeah.
I know somebody who spent $500 on Apex to get an heirloom, and that's the old-fashioned way. They've released plenty of times where it's like, just buy this stuff in this list, and then you can get it, and those are more affordable. Not affordable by any means, $120 instead of $500, but still.
Yeah.
I know people that have done things like that.
So y'all
Put Fortnite in the list, put all this other stuff in the list.
I'm inclined to say add-on content is number 2.
I'm good with that.
Content at 2.
Yep.
I feel like from there, in that line of thinking as far as like what it costs the company, I think digital software has to be the next one.
I think that's almost a certainty. I just put one caveat in there that with a console release, maybe, but I
consider this is revenue, not profit. This is not profit. This is revenue. So don't think if they're taking hardware at a loss, don't think it's a negative.
Yeah.
Think of it as a revenue.
I took that wrong. That if it's just revenue, literally how much.
Even still, I'm fine with our 1 and 2 still.
Me too.
I don't want to change those.
Yep.
But I think that puts console hardware at 3 instead of digital software.
I agree.
Especially with the game lineup. I mean, it's kind of like.
Well, and they've reported already this week, I think, that in the PS5 the fastest selling console in U.S. history.
Yes.
Already.
Yes.
I can't get one.
Makes you wonder. It makes you wonder how much of those. This is a side tangent, but it makes you wonder what percentage of PS5 sold are in the hands of people who want to use them. Maybe it's a bigger percentage that I'm putting too much credence into the scalping
probably
thing.
Still, I think there's still more people who own a PS5 rather than, compared to the people who have it and are ready to resell it. I still think that's the case.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely more of an issue than it's been in the past.
Yes, correct. Yep. So I'm comfortable with the console hardware at number 3 then.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, no matter what, retail software is below digital software, so that only leaves this question of peripheral.
So okay.
And where that fits in.
So I mean,
I think digital probably beats peripheral, but I don't know if peripheral beats retail software or loses to it. I think in the obvious
peripherals.
Sense,
there's the headsets and I'm thinking PS5. I know there's outside of just PS5 that people would be buying, and this is obviously their gaming division, so not all the other Sony stuff. But
no TVs.
Yeah, so your headsets, your charging docks, your spare controllers, I think would count as peripherals. This is tough. This is a hard one. Yeah, for me, it's in between 5 and 6 is retail software and peripherals. I do think digital software gets number 4.
Okay.
I think that's a reasonable assumption.
Yeah.
This is probably close, and hopefully we're not way off base.
I hope not, but we'll see. So I would just put in with the same caveat that we put the console hardware above digital software. I think that we have to put peripheral above retail software.
I'm fine with that.
Of all the accessories that people would have wanted for their PS5.
And they're selling like hotcakes. The headsets and the charging docks specifically. Yeah. So that's fine.
I think that's the way that I want to do it, and Zach might say something different when he gives us the full rollout, but I'm happy with those answers.
So that puts
the way that we logicked it out.
Yeah. So that puts network services at 1, add-on content, DLC, and microtransactions at 2, console hardware at 3, digital software at 4, peripherals and others at 5, and then retail software at 6.
Y'all good with that?
I'm as good as I'm gonna be. I mean, I'm not an expert.
Final answer.
Deal. Okay, so
deal.
So number one with a whopping 34% of their revenue was add-on content, DLC, microtransactions, etc.
I think you had it right. Man.
$8.5 billion. Because they get a cut of that Fortnite stuff. They get a cut of that Apex stuff. Right. I think Epic Games recently said that Fortnite on the PlayStation is their. I think it makes up literally half of their players, including PC. Yeah. Fortnite on the PlayStation is huge, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's why I started it off. I was like,
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. The network services is anybody who plays it. So the fact that more people are spending more money on the add-on stuff than literally just having a PlayStation and playing it.
Keep in mind, you can play Fortnite for free. You don't have to actually have PS Plus. So people could be putting money into DLC without having to buy PS Plus.
It's crazy.
I didn't know that. I thought you interesting. That makes sense though, because it's okay, because it's Epic Games stuff that it's it doesn't have to be supported with PS Plus. Okay.
Yeah. So number 1 was the add-on content. Number 2 is the digital software sales.
Dang it.
Number 2 with let's see here, 21% at $5.1 billion was digital sales. They recently, I think it was maybe a year or two ago, they said it was like basically 50-50. It had finally crossed. But another thing you have to keep in mind is this last year, everyone was inside for a year. So, you know, digital sales really...
those battle packs just looked a little more enticing every day that goes on.
Yeah. So
and then, you know, people aren't going out to stores to buy their games. They're just downloading home.
Yep.
Right.
So you got digital software at 2. Number 3 with 4.8 billion and 20% was the console hardware sales.
We got it.
Of PS4 and PS5. Revenue, obviously. Brandon, you made a good point. A lot of these companies, they take losses on their new consoles. Save Nintendo. Nintendo likes to make a profit. At launch, they're trying to get you to buy the software.
Yep.
So, you know, PS5 sells 8 million, whatever it is, at 400, 500 a piece. That's a good amount of money. So, number 3 was hardware. Number 4 is subscriptions. Your PS Nows, your PS Pluses.
We had it number 1.
Yeah. So that was it's 14% of their the thing at like I think it's like 3.6 billion. That's still a lot. I think they reported they have something stupid like 50 million PS Plus users, which is crazy to think about.
Look how many PS4s are out there. So
yeah, but so there's 112 million, 115 million, 120 whatever it is million PS4s. You got to imagine, like you bought a PS4 Pro, that counts. To think that 50 million people are paying for PS Plus, and some of those hardware sales, 120 million, are repeats. You don't have PS Plus for both of them. You have PS Plus once.
I just thought of something too. I told you guys about this a while back, that people can game share with each other and cut that number in half. I could game share to you my PS Plus and you could have it. So it could be even less. For 4 consoles between us, it could be 1 subscription. I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah. So here's a big one. Y'all are going back and forth. Does retail games beat peripherals, or do peripherals beat retail games?
Yeah.
And I thought this was super surprising. Peripherals they made more money off peripherals than retail games. Retail games were the lowest chunk buying games, which I guess makes sense given the year. But still, they sold more controllers and stuff money-wise than games, which I think is pretty crazy. So y'all got what, 3 of 6?
We got so we got hardware. 5 and 6, and then we got console hardware.
Yeah. So 3 of 6 ain't bad. Yeah. So it was 1.5 billion.
Content was one off.
Yeah. We almost got that one.
That doesn't bode well either for the whole microtransaction thing. It's going to keep happening.
This is not something that I've ever I'm not going to assert that it has to stop. Like, no way, they're a business. They know how they can make their money, and that's it's not going to stop.
Cool.
I think the way that you frame it and don't prey on individuals, with the gambling aspect.
That's the thing for me. As long as you're not making people who have addictions.
If you want to lay out a slew of cosmetic options, like you can buy this one for 99 cents, this one for 99 cents, have them all in front of you. Fine, people can choose to do that if they want. But
there are some games I like the idea. I think a couple of Nintendo's mobile games did this, and there was another game that did. I can't. It's drawing a blank, but there is microtransactions, but they cap it.
Really?
Like you cannot spend more than $100
in like a certain time frame. Or
I don't remember exactly. I know Nintendo did that with maybe it was like Dragalia Lost, or if it was maybe
I played that one a little bit.
And then I think what's the other mobile game that came to Switch? It was Pokemon Quest. They had microtransactions. You could only spend like $40. You couldn't spend more than that.
Yeah. Didn't that get you everything? Is that the same one that you played?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. I'm all for them letting you. If they want to get people to spend $200, that's fine. What bothers me is when there's the people spending $2,000 that maybe they're enjoying it, but at the end of the day, you're taking advantage of somebody.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, that's how I would like to see them go forward. Put a cap on it.
Right.
But cool. Good job. 3 out of 6 ain't bad. Now for the guessing game. I don't know. I don't have a name for it yet, but the reverse 20 questions.
Reverse. Yeah, it's because it's not 20 questions.
Yeah,
you got to think
6.
of a good name for it. Yeah.
So Andrew, the way this is going to work, I gave each of you a game, and then I gave y'all a combined game. I'm going to give you hints for a game, and 6 total. By the sixth one, it should be pretty obvious. And for every hint you get like 1 more point. So if you get on the first guess, you get 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And your honor depends on it. Every week, you don't know, Brendan is stripped of his honor. And
I think I was stripped last week.
Yeah, so y'all have no honor right now. You have the chance to redeem yourself of all honor and respect. So I'm gonna go.
Just by entering this podcast, I get stripped right away.
Correct. Yes. So this week, I'm going to challenge y'all. Since y'all it's combined, I'm going to challenge y'all to get a combined 12 points.
Didn't you try to get me to get 12 last week?
Yes, and it'll be a little different. Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Did you set the benchmark based off of what he did in the first podcast?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds very familiar.
Pretty much, but y'all have to get your collective honor back.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna start with Andrew first. Andrew, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, get this ready. Your first hint is this is a third-party game. Oh, I forgot to mention, you get 1 guess per hint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that change.
Say third-party game.
Third-party game.
I wish we could get a little bit more context at the beginning.
You're not going to get 18 points ever.
You know, it's
I know it's not possible.
It's always tough. Well, let's just go with what's the most recent one? Whatever the most recent Mortal Kombat is. Mortal Kombat 11.
No.
Yep.
Your next hint. This is an exclusive third-party game.
Oh.
Okay. That's gonna help a little bit, for sure. Bring things down. I mean, if it's Monster Hunter Rise, I'll be ashamed, but I'll just go with that. Is it Monster Hunter Rise?
It is not, but it is a JRPG.
That's my next hint.
Japanese
I'll get that
RPG.
one for free.
Nope, Japanese RPG. Exclusive third-party JRPG.
Yeah, there's a lot on that list, though.
There is. This is why you have to gain your honor as a video game connoisseur.
By guessing it right.
Yes.
Let's see. Well, we talked about several of them. I'm gonna go with the new Nier game. Is gonna be my game.
Interesting guess.
Replicant?
Yeah.
Interesting guess, but no. But this is part of a series.
Is Nier Replicant an exclusive?
I don't know.
I thought it was, but it might not be. I might have just kind of messed up right there.
Okay.
So your hint so far, it's an exclusive third-party JRPG, and it's part of a series.
Yeah, and that doesn't narrow it down anymore because I still have more that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Persona 5.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. But it is action and turn-based.
Action and turn-based.
Or maybe not turn-based, but turn-based like.
Oh gosh.
See, it's so because it could still be so many things. It could still be so many things.
I know what he's. I know what it is.
I mean, I think I know what he is, but I'll just say, okay, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Is that what you're going for?
Yes. Let me throw it up to the top. Come on. Drag it to the top. Come on. Where is it at? Oh, I forgot to include your image. It was supposed to come up.
Now you have lost your honor.
I've lost my honor. 1 second. Moment. I moved it just for the sake of posterity. I got to have this up here.
I was like being stubborn because I knew that's probably what you were going to put in. But
there you go.
Like, no.
Your last hint was play this game, damn it. So,
so how many points did I even get from that?
You got two. You got two. You got 2 points.
Okay. So I've started us off with a terrible start.
2 of 12. 2 of 12. Okay, so good job.
Sorry.
Good job.
I didn't do very good last week, so.
I'm gonna fix Brendan's also because I know where it's at. All right, Brendan, your first
Did you
hint.
show us it at the time and we'll just guess it off of the box art too, or whatever you have up?
No.
Did you what? Oh.
So your first hint, this game is a sequel.
Okay.
Really got to come through on this first one, Brennan. Good guesses.
This game is a sequel. And sequel doesn't necessarily mean the second game. Rough. Is it Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart?
It is not.
Dang.
This game is older than a decade.
Oh. More than 10 years old. Is a sequel. Is it Skyrim?
No. Your next hint is an old pal returns.
What?
Think of an old sequel where an old friend comes back. Back in the fray.
An old friend comes back in the fray. Dang it.
I need to rebalance this game. But,
I was going to say, 12 is so ambitious. So
yeah.
This is
Don't worry.
This is why having the double guesses at the beginning would have been good for mine, because I would have guessed it sooner.
Yeah.
I'll do some restructuring, but a 10-year-old at least sequel where an old pal returns.
This is hard. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of any game. Guess on. I can't even think of any games that qualify as that. Is it? I don't know. I keep thinking of Dark Souls for some reason because when I think old pal, I think Sigurd. I don't think this. Well, and that's not necessarily a sequel either. An old pal returns. I'm stumped. I can't even think of a game that falls into that category. Can I call a friend for help?
Sure.
To give you a guess.
Ring a friend.
And do you even have an idea of what?
So
what would even qualify as this? Because I'm drawing a blank.
For clarification on the on some of the hints, because are we saying that the game that he's trying to guess that is also a sequel is 10 years old itself, or it is a sequel to a game from 10 years?
The game itself is at least 10 years old.
That's how I took it.
Yeah, that's how I tell you. Just like, let me make sure, because it could be like a big gap or something that would kind of help.
I'm sure it'll be like it'll be obvious at the end, but
well, yeah, that's the whole point.
Well, yeah, but I don't know how obscure you're getting with these games, but I feel like you go
not
down
very,
the route of,
not very obscure.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. I already said Skyrim. Obviously, it's not that. Old pal returns. That one's really getting me hung up. I just have to kind of guess something.
That one, because that one can give.
I need more information. Yeah, I feel like it can
figure it out.
Yeah, I'll just guess something goofy. Like, is it Twilight Princess?
No, but it does have motion controls.
Oh,
in some capacity. I'm not saying that it's only motion controls, or in some capacity it has motion controls.
But giving it the ability to have motion controls, certain systems, and it's 10 years old. An old pal returns.
What had motion controls over 10 years ago?
Well, the Wii.
Gonna narrow us down a little bit.
Yeah.
Sequel.
Right. Sequel and old pal returns. This is hard. This is not the quality content everyone wants.
Yeah, right.
No one makes it this far.
Music.
No one makes it this far. This is just for us.
Yeah, you're right. This is the fun part.
Old pal returns. I mean, is it Skyward Sword?
It is not, but it is a Nintendo first-party game.
Dang it. Okay.
Zach's well pleased with it.
Is this the last hint?
No, you have one more. You have one more.
Yeah, but that's the one that's basically a giveaway.
Yeah.
First party Nintendo motion controls. I mean, how mad am I gonna be? I find out what the.
I mean, so like the stuff that I'm thinking of, or at least what's coming to mind right now, is Wii Sports Resort is the only.
So am I. Yeah, I thought about that too. But what old pal?
Exactly, it fits everything except for that.
I mean, good for you, Zach, on that old pal thing, because
I know that's
really throwing me off.
And once we know what it is, we'll be like, oh, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Did any of the Xenoblade games have motion controls?
I don't think it. I don't know if Xenoblade Chronicles come out of Wii. I don't know if
the first one did, but the
yeah, and that's not a sequel. So
okay.
I don't know that
I knew one of them was on the Wii, but I didn't know if there were two.
I assume that one had motion controls in some sense, but I don't know what they were. I'm actually kind of curious now about that. But does that count as
first party, so it wouldn't fit into
it. It might have been first party Nintendo at that point. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It definitely is now. I don't know about back then.
I don't think that's the answer either way, but
no.
It's a sequel. I mean, I guess both of the Zeldas that were on there, like Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. I don't know who the old pal would have been. It's making me mad.
Ganon's the old pal. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm trying to think about... Oh, is it Super Mario Galaxy 2?
Bada bing, bada boom, it's Super Mario Galaxy 2. Oh, come on.
I was going to say,
there we go. The old pal is Yoshi. Yoshi's not in Super Mario Galaxy 1.
Yep, I thought, when it came to my mind, I knew it was it.
Your last hint was a space jumpy boy.
Yeah, I would have gotten it with that, but
yeah.
I should have gotten it earlier. I just, for some reason, until I knew it was Wii, that game. But once I knew it was Wii, I should have thought of that. I think that you were definitely, obviously, with recency, with the conversation with Andrew on Final Fantasy, that made sense for his choice. And then, for me, I've talked about Galaxy a lot recently. So, it's good. Yeah. So I do think it's a very steep,
of course, yes.
here on this game, getting over that hump because, nothing at the beginning.
So y'all have 4 points now. Y'all need 8 more.
Well, we can't get 8. So.
Well, that's what you think. I'm giving out double points on this next one.
Wow.
And that's why this one is a true combined thing, but you only get 3 hints.
So what if
I'm okay. How about this? Let me rephrase this.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the opportunity for 3 points per hint here. Y'all are at 4. If y'all get 3 apiece, that'll put you at 13, which will gain your honor. Yeah. I'm going to give you a pre-hint. This is from a series that we have played before, and that is y'all's hint without a hint.
Okay. So that's just a freebie. Is that what you're saying?
A freebie hint. So
okay. I like freebies.
Y'all need to get it on this first hint.
You need to get it on this hint.
Yeah, of course, to gain your honor. But 3 points apiece. Y'all played this series before. The first hint is it's an action RPG. All 3 of us have played this series.
I mean, it could be The Witcher.
I know what comes to mind first for me, Brendan.
What's that?
Well, and it might not necessarily count as an action RPG, but I was thinking 3 Houses the very first thing.
I thought of The Witcher 3.
Oh, man.
He would not describe Fire Emblem as an action. That's a strategy.
Yeah, okay.
It's a strategy game.
Okay. I like The Witcher 3. I think that's a good choice.
I don't know that. I mean, I can think a little bit more on it.
Yeah, keep in mind, I had The Witcher 3 was one in your first episode, Brendan.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Oh, okay. Then he wouldn't do that. So, okay, take that off.
But maybe he's trying to dupe us with a double.
The Witcher 2!
I said you played the series, not the game.
Yeah.
Action RPGs that we have all played.
And it's in a series. I mean, it could be.
Yeah, he did say. Yeah, obviously it's a series. So.
Right? For all we know, right?
I mean, it could be Dark Souls. I wouldn't classify Twilight Princess as. It could be Dark Souls 3. I mean.
Wait, why would you not classify what's
as an action RPG? I wouldn't say Twilight Princess is classified as an action RPG
because it's not an RPG.
There's no stats.
It's an adventure game.
Yeah, well, there's no stat and leveling up and kind of that min-maxing aspect. I think.
I see what you mean. Okay.
I'm gonna stick on Dark Souls 3 as a guess.
Dark Souls 3.
And I want to get you.
I'll give y'all both a guess. How about that? I'll give y'all both a guess for the new rules.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Very kind.
Dark Souls 3 is my guess.
Well, so do I get to know if he got it right?
No, but if y'all pick the same thing, I'll give you extra points. Y'all come to a consensus.
If one of us gets it right,
but wait, I don't. So then, can we do that on the next round?
I'll give you if y'all come to a consensus before the last round, y'all get 4 points per hint.
Okay.
Okay. I'll let Brendan stick with Dark Souls 3 because just one of us has to guess at this time.
Yeah.
And so, I'll go with Bloodborne.
No.
Wait, no, wait.
Oh, no.
We already took it.
I already said no. I apologize.
So Dark Souls 3 wasn't it either?
No, it was not.
Dang it.
All the same rules apply. This game is medieval based. Medieval setting. Maybe not like medieval, but like medieval setting.
Man, see, Dark Souls was such a good guess.
I
But
know.
now that we've guessed it, we know that it's not. So if we come to a consensus on this one, we can still regain our honor, Zach. I don't even know what the match is at this point.
Action RPG.
Yeah, if you do come to a consensus, you will end up with 12 points exactly.
Okay.
Okay, let's think. Action RPG. What was the next hint?
It's medieval based.
Medieval base, yeah. Okay, got it.
Which is why I was like, Dark Souls 3 is good, because if it wasn't what we guessed before, then it was for sure one that we would have guessed after.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It makes me annoyed because it still could have The Witcher 3 in there, which would
Yeah, well, let's remove that from our mind.
the
series.
The smug look on his face that he's trying to stifle.
I mean,
I don't know.
This is what I'm going to caveat.
Making me think that he didn't do it.
We earned our honor. If it ends up being The Witcher 3, because we think he would repeat it.
Sure. Well, don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let me see. Well, wait. Part of a series, action RPG, medieval based. Why not go back to Skyrim?
I'm not opposed to that. That's an action RPG.
And it's in a series, definitely.
And we've all played it.
We've all played it. I mean, I'm fine with locking that in.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is not Skyrim.
Dang it. All right.
But because I feel bad about the balance of this game, I'm going to throw y'all a bone here. This is an 8-point question to gain your honor. Are y'all ready for your final hint?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
This is the black sheep of the franchise.
Okay, well, the first
now I'm thinking Dark Souls 2.
But I've never played that game.
Well, but he said we played this series. Is that what you... Can you give us the pre-hint again? Is that what you said?
You have played this series before.
Now I think it's Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think that's kind of what it has to be.
Now I'm mad.
Nothing else really comes to mind of being
I'll think about it a little bit more. Let me think. So, medieval setting... Black sheep.
I mean, technically, there's several black sheeps in the Elder Scrolls series.
Oh, so, well, I've only ever played Skyrim. So, but you said he played the series, so
that's what I'm saying. Like, like it could be Morrowind or something ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Now, I will caveat this with y'all get one combined guess here. Y'all don't get to both pick one.
Right, that's fine.
Okay.
I figured that was the case.
Yeah.
I mean, Dark Souls 2 is the obvious choice, and I'm fine with sticking with that.
I'll stick with that. Yeah, that's fine.
I can't really think of anything else.
So y'all gonna put y'all's entire honor on the line for this guess?
Sure. Whatever. I already lost it last week. What difference does it make?
Might as well, right?
We'll take a bow. It is Dark Souls 2. You have regained your honor and my respect.
after some
sort of.
Yeah, we'll have to do. I'll have to do some labbing in the how this game is gonna work. Maybe some restructuring. But I'm very proud of you, the both of you.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're definitely formulating the hints in such a way that like, there's lots of avenues.
Yeah, I know. That's why I need to fix it up a little. Maybe a couple guesses in the first few. Well, fellas, I gotta thank y'all for joining me here for the third episode.
There has to be some way for us to narrow it.
Narrow it down?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think his...
What an excellent time for you to freeze. Oh. What were you saying?
Okay, you guys froze too.
Okay, you're good. You're good. Continue. Whatever you said. A good thing to narrow it down. Good time to narrow it down. Something like that.
Yeah. Sorry. Maybe if we could ask some questions, rather than have guesses, maybe we can ask.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that the next time. We'll give one question and one guess.
Yeah.
One yes, no. Well, fellas.
Sorry for that connectivity issue there.
No, it's fine. Good timing.
Good to happen at the end, right?
Yeah.
I gotta say, thank you. Oh, that's kind of funny. Let's throw this up here a little higher.
There we go.
Thank y'all for watching. Anyone who's watching this far, I really appreciate it. And thank y'all too for joining me today. It's been a blast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And you can catch us live, or most of the time, sometimes just me, at twitch.tv/dailybeating. We play in Smash every Sunday. You know how it be. Any comments, any questions, leave them below, and we will mention them in the next podcast, which I don't know when that'll be. We'll have to think. Right. But in that time, I will rework the guessing game.
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, I'm going to make a cut here. The cat's getting restless. I'm going to let it out real quick. Just okay. Continue to talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst ourselves. We'll do.
I'm going to have a couple Doritos.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Is that Cool Ranch? You know what's up.